Andrew and Emma agreed to meet for a date at the park entrance at 9 p.m. But there was a slight problem. Both Andrew's and Emma's watches were showing the wrong time. Andrew's watch was 3 minutes behind, but he thought it was 2 minutes ahead. Emma's watch, on the other hand, was 2 minutes ahead, but she thought it was 3 minutes behind. Which of them do you think will be late for the date? Andrew will be 5 minutes late and Emma will be 5 minutes early. Gemma was attending a technology-themed costume party. When she arrived at the venue, she saw 3 people chatting by the drinks buffet who were all dressed in robot costumes. However, she noticed that one of them was a real robot. Can you tell who? Everyone is holding drinks in their hands, but take a look at the second guy. His glass is empty, but he's still pretending to drink something from it. Robots and liquids don't go well together, so he must be an actual robot. Realizing that Gemma noticed him, the robot immediately pulled her to the corner of the room and said, "Now that you know my real identity, I need to wipe your memory. But if you can answer my riddle correctly, I'll let you go. I have keys, but open no locks. I have space, but no room. You can enter, but you can't go inside. What am I?" The answer is a computer. Janice, Candace, and Demeter were 3 witches who cared a lot about looking young and beautiful, but one of them was actually 100 years old. Can you tell me who? The first witch, Candace, who is taking a selfie, looks like an old woman on her phone screen, but that's just a social media filter. As for the second witch, Janice, the creepy old lady-looking shadow at the back is not her shadow. It's an evil spirit that's haunting her. But look at the mirror the third witch, Demeter, is holding. It's reflecting what she doesn't want others to see, aka her true face. So she's the old lady here. Lloyd went to the costume store to buy something to wear for Halloween. Once he selected a costume for himself, he headed to the fitting rooms to try it, but all 3 of them were occupied. A few minutes later, 3 different customers in costumes came out of them. The first one was wearing a vampire costume. The second was wearing a werewolf costume. And the third one was wearing a zombie costume. But Lloyd immediately realized that one of them was actually a real monster. Can you tell who? Take a look at the mirrors in front of the fitting rooms. The customer in the vampire's costume doesn't have a reflection. That can only mean he is a real vampire. Sir Ridley Stormrider was a knight searching for his one true love. He traveled to the kingdom of Veridonia after hearing rumors that there was a magical mirror there, which revealed the location of the heart's desire to those who looked into it. But there was a catch. It would only reveal it to you if you knew the answer to the riddle that was engraved on it. I'm often running, but I never get tired. What am I? Can you help Sir Ridley Stormrider find love? The correct answer is water. Inspector Banner was inspecting the Academy of History and Science. During his inspection, he noticed that whenever he asked the class a question, all the students raised their hands in response. Moreover, even though the school teacher chose a different student each time, the answer was always correct. How did this work? The teacher had prearranged with the students that they would be called upon to answer regardless of whether they knew the answer or not. But those who knew the answer should raise their right hand, and those who did not know should raise their left hand. The teacher chose a different student each time. but always the one who raised his right hand. Amy had one last test to pass before she graduated. Her professor asked her only one question during the exam, which was this: you have 2 candle wicks. Each wick, lit from the end, burns completely to the ground in exactly 1 hour, but it burns at an uneven rate. How can you use these wicks and a lighter to measure 45 minutes? Can you help Amy graduate? It's necessary to light the first wick simultaneously from both ends, which will give you 30 minutes. Simultaneously with the first wick, you light the second wick from the end, and when the first wick burns out after 30 minutes, you light the second wick from the other end, which will give you the remaining 15 minutes. Layla's best friend was her dog named Gamgee. One night after spotting a falling star in the sky, she wished that Gamgee could talk to her. Then, suddenly, the star came to life in front of her and said, "I will grant you your wish if you can answer this riddle of mine. Always old, sometimes new, never sad, sometimes blue, never empty, sometimes full, never pushes, always pulls. What am I?" The answer is the moon. To Layla's surprise, her dog really started talking. The first thing it said was, "Oh, this riddle game is so fun! I want to play it too! Here's my riddle to you. What's always found on the ground but never gets dirty?" It's a shadow. Jamie was standing at the edge of a circular lake. The lake was 200 feet in diameter, and there was a small island directly in the middle. There was a large tree next to him and a large tree in the middle of the island. Jamie needed to get to the island in the middle of the lake, but he didn't know how to swim. He only had a little over 200 feet of rope. How can he use that to get there? First, Jamie needs to tie one end of the rope to the tree next to him. Then, while he's holding the other end of the rope, he should walk all the way around the lake. This will wrap the rope around the tree in the center. When he returns to his starting point, he needs to tie the end of the rope he's holding to the large tree again. He can now use this rope bridge to hold on to and cross the lake to the island. Cedric was a brilliant scientist. One day, suddenly a small portal appeared in his lap, and a little device with a letter attached to it fell on his head right before the portal closed. The letter said, "From future Cedric to past Cedric. One of my experiments accidentally caused chaos to be unleashed on Earth. That is why I have to prevent you from conducting this experiment in the first place. You will find the details inside the box, but you can only open it if you know the answer to this riddle. What occurs once in a minute, twice in a moment, and never in 1,000 years? Can you help Cedric save the future world?" The answer is the letter M. People who visited the town of Maplebrook often found themselves intrigued by Mr. Perry. He had a reputation of a not quite intelligent person. That was because when offered a choice between a 50-cent coin and a $5 bill, he always chose the coin, even though it was worth 10 times less than the banknote. Can you tell why he never chose the banknote? Well, he was not so foolish after all. You see, he realized that as long as he chose the 50-cent coin, people would offer him money to choose from, and if he chose the $5 bill, the offers of money would stop, and he would get nothing.
Welcome to Brightside U. You've got one more final before break, all riddles. Jot down your answers, and we'll see what your score means at the end of the video. The university president's looking nervous. He gets to his office and opens the door. It's the end of the semester, and all the students are about to take their finals, except Intro to Geography. The teacher had to postpone that final for some reason. When he sits at his desk, he discovers that someone's been rummaging through his papers. They've stolen the physics final. How did they get in if the door and windows were closed? I'll give you 7 seconds for this one. That ventilation panel above the president's desk, it's been moved. Someone crawled all the way through there. Impressive. But who did it? To answer that, you need to solve a bunch of other riddles first. Then maybe you'll figure out the mystery at the end of the video. The president leaves his office and walks down the hall. There's a loud crack, and the power goes out all over the building. Someone must have flipped all the fuses. He heads down to the break room to see what's up. I mean, he's the president after all. Yep, someone's been messing around down here. There's 3 suspects in the room. The cleaner says somebody turned off the generator when he came in to clean. Rachel's a new transfer student. She says she totally got lost and ended up in here by accident. Simon's a junior. He has his phone in his hand. Says he was playing one of those video games where you have to find stuff. Which one of them shut off the power? Your 7 seconds starts now. It was Rachel. It's the end of the semester. She wouldn't have transferred right before finals. But why did she do it? Maybe she wanted to disrupt the physics final. He turns the power back on. Ugh, hungry. Probably a good time to grab a quick snack. When he gets to the cafeteria, there's a new problem waiting for him. Someone emptied a whole bag of sugar into a huge pot of soup. Which student was it? You have 7 seconds. All the suspects have bowls of soup in front of them, but one of them doesn't have a spoon, just a fork. He was never going to eat the soup. He knew it would taste disgusting. Just as the president finishes up his sandwich, he gets a text. It's from a professor. He needs help in his office ASAP. In the office are 3 students, standing around and looking guilty. The professor claims one of them graffitied the painting on his wall. Which one did it? You've got 7 seconds to figure it out. It's that one. She's covering her hands. There's probably some paint on her fingers that she's trying to hide from you. Next stop, the infamous physics exam. The president heads over to the exam room. Everything's quiet in there. Looks okay. All the students have their heads down, staring at their papers. But someone's cheating. The president can sense it somehow. Help him find the sneaky student. 7 seconds to scan the room. It's the guy with his legs crossed. Clever. He wrote the answers on his calf muscle. But where did he even get those answers? After a brief shakedown, he spills the beans. He got them from a friend. That hassle's over. Time for a coffee and a snack. A big one. But just then, a piercing beep smashes through the silence. The fire alarm! Oh, come on. Students file out of their classrooms, and the entire university has to be evacuated. The students are standing outside, looking at the building. No fire, no smoke even. The president gets a text from the alarm company. The alarm was triggered by a person, not a smoke detector. The president looks around. Time to round up the usual 4 suspects. Matt says he was in the bathroom when the alarm came on. Julia was taking the geography final. Clark and Lex were studying strange green meteorites together in the science lab. Which one of them is lying? You have 7 seconds starting now. It was Julia. The geography teacher postponed the final, remember? Why would she lie unless she had something to hide? Today's not really his day. Someone cut down a tree right in the middle of the quad. The caretaker saw 4 students hanging out under the tree this morning, and now it's gone. Time to interview the suspects. Emily says she's been in the library all day. Loads of people saw her. Sam claims he was in the cafeteria having some soup. Lewis was in the physics final, and Michael says he's been hitting the weights all day, trying to get buff for the beach. Who cut down the tree? Your 7 seconds starts now. It was obviously Sam. He said he was having some soup, but remember, if he had really been in the cafeteria, he would have mentioned the whole sugar thing. Plus, the president was in there and didn't see him. He's lying. On to the biology final. They've got a new teacher who's giving a unique type of final. The president sneaks in the back of the room. The teacher explains that she gave her students ficus seeds at the beginning of the semester. Whoever has the most beautiful ficus plant will get the highest grade. It's time to present the results. The students start to file into the classroom. Half of them are holding pots with beautiful green ficus trees. The other half have pots filled with plain old earth. No leaves, no nothing. The teacher says the students with empty pots all get an A. Why did the teacher do that? Solve this mystery in 7 seconds. Go! At the beginning of the semester, she gave everyone fake ficus seeds. The students who showed up with full-blooming plants must have bought a full-grown plant and stuck it in the pot. Ha! Busted! Last final of the day, philosophy. The young teacher is in there, waiting for all the students to take their seats. After that, he puts a bust of an ancient Greek philosopher on the table. The teacher says, "Write a short essay on the following topic: why this bust doesn't exist." The student with the most convincing argument gets an A, while everyone else gets a C. Huh, tough teacher. After an hour, the students hand in their papers. Most of them filled up the front and back, but one student only wrote 2 words, and she got the A. What did she write? I'll give you 7 seconds to figure it out. She wrote, "What bust?" The president heads outside again, this time for the parking lot. What? Someone took the tire right off of his car. How's he gonna get home? He still has a spare tire in his trunk, but the thieves took the bolts too. All 4 of them. What can he do? You have 7 seconds to come up with a plan. He needs to unscrew one bolt from each of the other 3 tires and attach them to the spare. Each tire now has 3 bolts. That'll be enough to get to the nearest service station. What an intense day. The president's ready to kick back for a few, but he gets another urgent text. There's broken glass all over the quad. Someone broke a window up there. The only 3 people around are a cook, a gardener, and a student. The cook says he's been boiling up a new soup for the last hour, since someone put sugar in the last one. The gardener admits he was up in a tree cutting branches. He saw a student break the glass. The student says he was studying in the library. I'll give you 7 seconds to figure out who's lying. The gardener's lying. How could he have been up in the tree? It had already been stolen. He broke the glass, probably just by accident. The day's finally over. The president heads over for the best tradition on campus, the post-finals party. It's in the basketball arena. There are lights, decorations, and even a DJ. Everyone's dressed up, looking relieved. Finals are over. The party goes all night, but around 4 a.m., someone accidentally slams the doors too hard, and it triggers the automatic locks. Everyone's trapped. The president can be the hero of the party. He just needs to find a way out, grab the spare keys from his office, and open the door from the outside. But how? One of the students, Eric, says he knows how to get out of the gym through a vent. The president looks at him, and his face goes red with anger. Why? Last riddle, 7 seconds. You can do it. Eric just gave himself away. He's obviously been in the ventilation shafts before, so it was probably him who stole the physics final. How did you do? Count up your correct answers, and let's see how you fared on your final exam. 0 to 3 points. Looks like you'll need to sign up for some classes over break. Keep watching riddle videos. You'll get better in no time. 4 to 7 points. Solid B+, but I'm sure you can do better next time. 8 to 12 points. You nailed that final. Leave your books in your locker and enjoy your well-deserved vacation.
Anna and Barbara are cleaners at a fancy hotel. The hotel manager received a call saying that one of them had stolen precious jewelry from one of the clients. Now, look at the image. Can you figure out who did it? It was Anna. If you look closely, there's a shiny diamond inside that cleaning bucket. Uh-oh. Inside a high-security prison, 3 men were eager to escape. The first one was trying to break the cell bars. The second one was working out every day to get strong. The last one was quietly reading a book. One of these prisoners came from the future. Can you tell who? It's the one reading the book. He knows none of the other prisoners are going to make it. By reading books, he might get an answer on how to escape. And even if that doesn't happen, at least reading will help him stay on track until he gets out of there. Ben and Paula were watching a riddle channel at home. They got into a heated discussion about who would survive such a dangerous prank. Take a look at the image. Who do you think has the biggest chance at survival? It's the lady with the snakes. I know that sounds dangerous, but the snakes are small and not poisonous. Dan enrolled in a photography class. For his latest assignment, he needed to take a landscape picture and present it to the class. But Dan didn't have time to do the assignment, so he decided to Photoshop an image and show it in class. The teachers and students immediately saw that the picture wasn't real. How could they tell? Well, because the image has 2 suns. That's not natural. At least not on planet Earth. Maybe Tatooine. Otto decided to take a chance on online dating. After a few days, he started talking to Mandy. They got along pretty well and decided to meet in person. They agreed to meet in Mandy's favorite cafe. She told Otto that she would be using a couple of red hair clips and it should be easy for him to find her. But as soon as Otto arrived there, 3 women were using red hair clips. They were in fashion apparently. So take a look at the image. Can you help Otto find Mandy? Let's see. Mandy is the woman at the first table. She's the only one wearing a pair of hair clips. The woman on the left is using 3 clips, and the other is wearing just 1. Betty walked into a cafe and ordered a cappuccino. But the cashier told her it was her lucky day. He would give Betty her cappuccino for free if she managed to answer a riddle correctly. The cashier said there were 2 buckets filled with water all the way to the top. The buckets had equal height, but the temperature of the water inside the first bucket was 25 degrees Celsius, while the second bucket it was 25 degrees Fahrenheit. If a person dropped the coin inside both buckets at the same time, which coin would hit the bottom of the bucket first? Jenny took a few minutes to answer the riddle, but she got it right. Can you guess what she answered? She said it would hit the bottom of the first bucket first. It had to do with the state of the water in each bucket. At 25 degrees Celsius, the water is liquid, while at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns to ice. Amy lives in a cozy townhouse with 3 roommates, Jill, Alice, and Nora. Take a look at these 4 bedrooms. Can you tell which one belongs to Amy? Let's go one by one, eh, Sherlock? In the first room, there's a comb with some green hair stuck to it. Nora's the one with the green hair, so that must be her room. Then, in the room to the right, there's a single red sock under the bed. Take a look at Jill's feet. She's missing that same sock. That must be her room. In the room right under this, there's a yellow jacket hanging on the chair, and Alice is wearing the same colored pants. It looks like the 2 pieces are a suit, right? That leaves the last room, with this huge letter A poster hanging on the wall. That must be Amy's room. Whew, that took some work. Annie was locked inside a room with 4 doors. On each door, there was a symbol of a creature hidden behind it. On the first door, there was a small dragon. On the second, there was a couple of vampires. On the third door, there was a mummy. And on the last door, there was a werewolf. One of the doors would open in 1 minute, but Annie didn't know which one. She had 3 different items she could use to protect herself: an axe, a torch, or an aspen stake. She needed to choose one that would help her fight any of the monsters. Which one should she choose? Her best option would be to choose the torch. The torch's fire can scare off any of the creatures and protect Annie. Olivia was running a marathon. Right before the finish line, she did her best and outran the person who was running in second place. The woman was happy and excited that she was going to win, but in a few seconds, she was very disappointed. Why? Because Olivia finished in second place when she wanted to finish first. This is what happened. She was fast enough to outrun the person who was going to win second place, but she wasn't fast enough to outrun the person who finished first. But hey, it's a good result anyway. Cheryl ran into her house extremely worried. She told the police officer she took off as soon as she heard the news. She was at her parents' house in another town and wanted to know what had happened to her husband while she was away. The officer said that someone had hurt Mr. Brown and that he ended up in the hospital. He said Mr. Brown was going to be okay, but he still needed to find out who had done this to him. The police officer had questioned 3 suspects so far. Mr. Brown's secretary said that she was sent to visit Mr. Brown's business partner in the morning because important documents needed to be signed. The house cook said he hadn't left the kitchen the entire day, since Mr. Brown had asked him to prepare a meal for him and his wife. And the housekeeper said that she hadn't heard anything. She spent the day doing chores. The officer realized who the culprit was in no time. Can you figure out who did it too? It was the cook. Mr. Brown probably didn't ask him to cook anything for his wife since she was out of town all along. These are Julia and Maria. They are both very attractive young women who have no trouble finding boyfriends. Today is Valentine's Day, and they're both going out with their loved ones. One of them is currently dating 3 people, though, so she's probably going to run from date to date. Just by looking at this image, can you tell which one it is? It's Maria, the one on the left. If you look at her workstation, she's got 3 presents lined up, one for each person she's currently seeing, who, I'm just guessing here, probably don't know about the others. Police Officer Dave received a call late one night. A famous chemist went missing from his lab. After searching the lab thoroughly, Dave found a note with random numbers scribbled on it. The note read 26 3 58, 28 27 57 6. It took Dave a while to figure out the hidden message. The clue was on the periodic table. Can you figure it out? The chemist was smart. Each number on the note corresponds to an element in the periodic table. So the element that corresponds to the number 26 is Fe, or iron. The number 3 is Li, lithium. And 58 is Ce, cerium. Using this logic, the first line is spelled Felice. By the same logic, the second line is spelled out Nicholas. After discovering the names, Dave tracked the two men down and arrested them. You suddenly wake up trapped in a dark room. Your only source of light is a candle. There are two doors in front of you. Behind one of them, there's a tunnel that will lead you outside to freedom. Behind the other, just a cold brick wall. You have a key that will open only one of the doors, and you can try it just once. So, how do you know which door to try? Hold the candle up to each keyhole. The flame will move near the door that leads outside. You escape to freedom, but you need to send some important documents to your friend Beth. You can't mail them in a regular package because the precious papers will get stolen. So you put them in a box and lock it. But Beth doesn't have the key to this lock. How can you send the papers if you can't send the key to the lock separately? First, send the lock box to Beth. She'll attach her own lock and send the box back to you. Then remove your own lock and send the package again. Beth can then remove her lock and finally open the package. Bad news. You get a call one morning from Beth. She says the crucial documents were stolen from her office. They'd been on the desk the evening before, but are nowhere to be found this morning. You immediately go there to question the employees. In no time, you gather 3 suspects. Sean said he had been at the movies last night. Michael had taken his girlfriend to an amusement park. And Christina was at a prestigious art gallery. Who's lying? Sean. His movie ticket isn't torn. Having been caught red-handed, Sean makes a break for it. He hops in his car and drives away. Law enforcement are on the lookout. Sean sees a police car right ahead of him and starts driving toward it. Why would he do that? He was on a bridge. He needed to go toward the patrol car to get to the other side and make his escape. No such luck for poor Sean. He gets caught and locked up. But he starts hearing rumors of an inmate planning to break out. The guards have 2 suspects. First, a quiet bookworm who spends most of his days with his nose buried in sci-fi novels. The second, a big burly tattooed guy who's always working out. Who should Sean become friends with if he wants to get out of here? The bookworm. Look closer, and you'll see his bookmark is actually a file. On Friday afternoon, the owner of that same prestigious art gallery discovered that 4 of the most famous artists' self-portraits had been stolen during an exhibition. The police show up to do an investigation, and now they have 3 suspects. Sarah, the artist, said she disappeared into one of the studios to paint. John, the security guard, explained he was just waiting outside and had no idea the portraits were gone. Daniel, the caterer, stated he was at a nearby store picking up extra napkins when the robbery took place. So, who's the thief? It's the security guard. He couldn't have known the stolen paintings were portraits if he was standing outside. As fate would have it, there was another incident that night. Michael, who never really liked what passed for art in modern times, rushed into the gallery and caused millions of dollars worth of damage to several paintings. Yet the gallery's owner thanked him for his actions. How come? Michael is a firefighter. The water from his hose damaged several masterpieces, but he still managed to extinguish the fire and save many more works. They awarded Michael a big check in gratitude. He heads home just in time to get his 5 kids all packed up for a camping trip that weekend. Mike and his wife are really looking forward to having the weekend for themselves to relax. But when they woke up on Saturday, they discovered the check was missing from their safe. Once the officers showed up, they interviewed the 3 people who were in the house that morning. The chef said he was in the kitchen getting school lunches packed. The cleaner said he finished cleaning quickly that day and left early. The butler had just gotten back after taking the kids to camp 3 hours away. Who's lying? It's the chef. It's Saturday, so there's no school, and the kids have gone camping. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, a scientist is working on something bizarre. He invites Kevin and Claire as blind test subjects for his new serum invention. He gives them each a glass of ice-cold lemonade. Kevin drinks his fast, but Claire apprehensively waits to see the side effects on him first. After 2 hours, nothing happens, so she drinks her glass. 2 minutes later, her skin turns green. If both the drinks had the serum, why was only Claire affected? The serum was in the ice. Since Kevin drank his fast, none of it got in the lemonade. Claire runs out of the lab in horror. She gets in her car and speeds off. As she's driving down a long, empty road, one of her tires pops off. Good thing she has a spare in the trunk. But here's the problem. She now has no lug nuts to put the spare on with. So what should Claire do? Unscrew one lug nut from each of the other 3 wheels and use them to attach the spare tire. It'll be enough to get to the nearest garage safely. As Claire is putting on her spare tire, the scientist catches up to her. He hands her 4 pills and tells her it's a complex cure to the green face serum. 2 of the pills are an antidote, and the other 2 are a catalyst that activates it. Claire must take 1 of each type together. If she takes 2 of the same, her face will stay green forever. Just as the scientist is handing her the pills, he trips and they get all mixed up. They look identical. What should Claire do? Grind the tablets up, mix all the powder together, and divide it in 2 parts. Each half will have the same amount of catalyst and antidote. It worked, and just in time. Whew! The next day, Claire has a big calculus exam. But funny enough, all the students in the class refuse to take it. Professor Miller can expel only 1 student for skipping the test. All of them know each other's names. If a student knows they'll be expelled, they agree to take the test. How can the professor make all the students take it? She should tell them she'll expel the student whose name comes first alphabetically. Then this person won't skip the test. The next person on the list won't skip either, and so on until the end of the list. The next day, class isn't any easier. Professor Miller grabs her cup of coffee, takes a sip, goes to set it down, and what's this? It's stuck to her hand. Somebody put glue on the cup, and she's got 3 suspects. Look carefully to find out which student is playing tricks on the professor. Sure, the first student has an awfully guilt-ridden look on his face, and the second student's smile looks just like pride for a job well done. But look closer at the third student's pocket. Yep, it's the tip of a glue bottle. Professor Miller is so annoyed by her class's shenanigans, she decides to change her career. Wow. She opens a shoe factory. She's so successful that she builds a second one in another city. But despite her success, the problems don't end. Her employees keep secretly taking shoes from the plant. What can she do to resolve the issue? Have one of her factories start making only left shoes and the other only right ones. One of those shoe swipers is driving a semi-truck full of shoes to sell for a profit. He comes to a tunnel, and there's a major problem. His truck is just an inch too tall. But he can still drive through the tunnel. How? Let some of the air out of the tires. It'll lower the truck just enough. When the shoe swiper gets through the tunnel, he comes to a fork in the road. One goes to the town, the other to never-ending wilderness. There are guides standing at each. The catch? One always tells the truth, the other always lies. The driver doesn't know who's who, and he's only allowed one question. What should he ask to find out which road goes to town? Ask either one of the guides which road the other would say is the right way. Then he must choose the opposite. The truth teller knows the other will lie, so they'll point the driver toward the road to nowhere. If he asks the liar, they'll know the other guard would honestly point him toward the town, so they'll again recommend the road to nowhere. The shoe thief takes the road to town, but he has another puzzle to answer before he's allowed to enter. The guard at the gate asks him one simple question. What's the logic in the order of the following words? Fun, blue, bee, more, and dive. Every word rhymes with its number on the list. Fun 1, blue 2, bee 3, and so on. The shoe swiper finally settles down in this new town. Too bad for him, he can only use a payphone to make calls. One day, the phone breaks. He informs the phone company, but they do nothing. He tries again the next day. Same result. The third time, he finally gets them to come out and fix the phone. So, what did he say? He claimed that people were making calls without paying.
Sammy was visiting her grandmother during Halloween. When her grandmother went to get groceries for their Halloween dinner, Sammy started hearing strange noises from the attic. He got curious and wanted to find out what was making them, so he climbed there. He noticed that a big wooden box was glowing. He went to open it, but it was locked. Luckily, his grandmother was a bit forgetful, so she left some clues around the room. Can you help Sammy figure out the digit passcode? Take a look at these books stacked next to the box. Did you notice that these 4 books have numbers instead of titles on their covers? Those must be the numbers he needs to open the box. So the passcode is 4203. After Sammy opened the box, he started hearing the whispers again. They were coming from the strange book that was in the box. The book was saying, "Open me, but to do that you need to answer the riddle on my cover. In the sun, I dance and play, but in the dark, I fade away. I'm not alive, yet always near. What am I? Can you tell me, dear?" The answer is a shadow. As soon as Sammy opened the book, it magically teleported him to a dark forest. He started panicking and running around frantically. That's when he spotted an owl sitting on a branch. The owl said, "Lost friend, I can help you find your way out of this labyrinth of trees, but first, you have to hear my riddle. I'm not alive, but I can reflect your fear. Look into me, and I'll always be near. What am I must be crystal clear." Do you know the answer? It's a mirror. The owl guided Sammy to a wizard's cottage. Then, Sammy explained his situation to the wizard and convinced him to help. There was only one spell that could send Sammy back to his world, and it was in a magic book that was stolen from an evil witch. So, the book was not revealing its secrets to the wizard. There was a riddle at the back of the spell book, and it said, "Speak what belongs to you but is used more by the others, and I shall reveal my secrets." Do you know what that is? It's your name. The Monster Hunters Agency was suspicious that a witch had crossed into our world from the supernatural realm. After following the magic trail the witch left behind, they got suspicious of 3 people. So they placed hidden cameras in their rooms and started observing them sleeping to figure out who the witch was. Can you help them? Okay, each of these people has something in their rooms that indicates they might be a witch. But take a look at the broom inside the First Lady's bed. But first of all, it's made of plastic. And it also has a label on it, which means it was bought from the store. The Third Lady is wearing a glowing amulet. I admit it looks mysterious, but it's just a toy. So the witch is the lady with the pointed hat peeking out from underneath her pillow. And if that doesn't convince you, her black cat sleeping on the other side of the bed will. Amy's town had an old museum that the residents believed to be haunted. Amy and her friends decided to spend the Halloween night inside the museum to have some spooky fun. When the clock struck midnight, all the portraits hanging on the museum walls came to life. Then a portrait of a lady started screaming for some help. She told Amy that the former employees dared to make a fake version of her portrait, and she wanted Amy to destroy it. But once Amy saw the fake portrait, she spotted 3 differences from the original and assured the lady that it couldn't hold a candle to the original. Can you spot them too? The pendant on the lady's neck, her lipstick color, and the ribbon on her hair are different from the original painting. The spooky traveling circus company was going to visit Evelyn's town to put on a Halloween show, and she really wanted to go. But they were only offering a few tickets to the people who could answer their riddle correctly. With fur as dark as the midnight sky, it's often seen as an omen, oh my! In superstitions it takes its place, a witch's companion with mystery and grace. Can you tell what this is? The answer is a black cat. The circus company required all the audience members to come to the show dressed in costumes. So Evelyn headed to the shopping mall to get herself a costume. She found 3 options to choose from: a witch costume, a mermaid costume, and a Victorian-era vampire costume. Which one should she pick? Take a look at the back of the witch costume. It says it's made out of paper, so it'll not be a good idea to wear that. And the mermaid costume is all teared up at the back. So she should choose the Victorian-era vampire costume. It may look bloody, but it sure fits the theme. It was finally Halloween, aka the day of the show. Evelyn headed to the circus tent to wait in line to enter the venue. But 3 strange things among the people caught her eye. Can you spot what they are? Look at this guy waiting in the line. His feet are not touching the ground. He's floating. Evelyn also saw her friend Edward waiting in line. As they started waiting together, she learned that Edward's ticket was from the first row, and they wouldn't be sitting next to each other. When the circus manager overheard them talking, he suggested that he might be able to change Evelyn's seat. Then he brought 3 chests, put the new ticket into one, and told Evelyn to follow it. If she was able to tell which chest the ticket was in by the end, he would give it to her. So, watch the manager move the chests and help Evelyn win the ticket. The ticket is in this one. Before the show started, Evelyn and Edward went to the cafeteria to grab some snacks. Take a look at these 3 options. Which one should they get? Take a look at the date that's written on the potato chips package. According to it, the chips expired in 1980, so that's a pass. And take a look at the small note below the ice cream. It says it's earwax flavored. Nobody wants to taste that, so they should pick the popcorn. The gooey thing on top of it is just caramel sauce. The show finally began. The first performer was a magician, and his first trick, he teleported from the right side of the stage to the left side. But Evelyn saw right through his illusion and figured out how he did it immediately. Can you? Look behind this curtain. There is a portable projection machine. It sure has something to do with that. As the spooky show continued, Evelyn realized that something was off with some of the performers on the stage. She started suspecting that some of the circus members might not be human after all. Can you tell what made her think so? Take a look at the singer first. She has gills at the sides of her neck. Secondly, did you notice the yellow, long, sharp nails of the juggler? And lastly, the rope walker has a tail at the back. Once the show was finally over, the circus manager came to the stage and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we've been lying to you. You see, we're actually creatures of the underworld and we came here to steal your souls. All the exits in our tent are magically sealed, so you can't escape. Only those who know our riddle correctly will be freed. I have a mouth, but I can't speak. I run, but I can't walk. What am I?" Can you help everyone escape? The answer is a river. Hey, my dear detective, are you ready for a nice brain workout? Great, then let's get started.
Yeah.
William decided to go on vacation for a month. He went to a bank and asked for a loan of $500. The bank officer told the guy that the loan could only be approved if he mortgaged some valuables at the bank. William said he would mortgage his car, whose worth was a whopping $80,000. The bank officer was surprised, but he approved the loan instantly. After William's vacation was over, he came back to the bank. The bank officer asked him why he had mortgaged such an expensive car for such a small loan. William told him the reason, and the bank officer admitted it was a very clever plan. What did William say? The guy said that he mortgaged his car to keep his expensive vehicle safe while he was away. Plus, he saved a lot of money on parking. Miranda is practicing her dance steps together with her friends. In a particular sequence, all of them form a row. At that point, Miranda is the fourth from either side of the row. Can you figure out how many girls are practicing together? In total, there are 7 girls. Miranda is the fourth from either end of the row, which means there are 3 girls on one of her sides and 3 on the other. Ethan and his girlfriend took a flight to New York and reached their destination in 2.5 hours. After spending some quality time together, they flew back home. Surprisingly, this time it took them 150 minutes, even though the plane flew at the same speed. How is it possible? It's easy. 2.5 hours are the same as 150 minutes. Look at this matchstick arrangement. Do you see a donkey-shaped figure? Your task is to move just one matchstick to change the direction of its movement. That's how you can do it. 4 men can build 4 tables in 4 hours. In this case, how many tables will 8 men build in 8 hours? Was your first instinct to say 8 tables? Because that's what immediately came to my mind. But in fact, the correct answer is 16 tables. And it actually makes sense, because 8 men worked twice as long as 4 men. Look at these people attentively. Who do you think is in greater danger? The lion won't necessarily attack the man, of course, if he doesn't provoke the animal. If the guy tries his best to look unthreatening, the lion might simply ignore him. But the snake can easily tighten its grip, which can end very badly for this woman. Mark came to visit his friends in Chicago. While they were having dinner, they told the guy about a mysterious building in their city. It had a very bad reputation. People said that those who once entered it never came back. Despite his friends' warnings, Mark decided to explore the building. The place looked creepy, and soon the guy realized he was lost. Whatever he did, he couldn't spot the exit. Suddenly, he found himself in a large room. There were 4 doors in this room. Behind the first door, there was a mummy. Behind the second door, a vampire was hiding. The third door led to a den of a hungry wolf. And behind the fourth door, there was a ghost. Which door should Mark opt for to get out of the house unscathed? The mummy can potentially be very dangerous. The vampire behind the second door is also far from friendly. The wolf, especially hungry, can easily attack a person. At the same time, the ghost is relatively harmless. Mark should choose the fourth door. Now, look at this image. Can you figure out which man is the girl's husband? Have you noticed that the woman and the man on the right are wearing identical wedding rings? That's the clue we need. Marta got into a trap set by a powerful witch. The girl got locked in a jail cell, and the only thing that could help her escape was a special magic elixir. Marta found 3 jars. The liquid from the first one could turn her into a superwoman. The second jar contained the liquid that turned people into zombies, and if Marta drank the elixir from the third jar, she would turn into a vampire. The effect of each elixir could last for half an hour. Which of them should Marta drink? Marta should wait till the morning and drink the elixir from the third jar. Then she'd be able to turn into a bat and fly out that tiny window. Can you figure out which of these women is alive? It's the woman on the right. Unlike the lips of the other 2 girls, her lips are red and plump. Plus, her hair is still growing. If you watch a time-lapse of them lying there, you can notice that the length of her hair is changing. Poor people have it, but rich people need it. If you eat it, you won't survive. What is it? It's nothing. Now this next riddle is kind of funny. To solve it, you need to think outside the box. Why are all the rivers in the world rich? They have 2 banks. Now, did you get it right? Imagine you're running a marathon, and right before the finish line, you pass by the person who's running the second. What place are you in now? You're still in second place. You've been faster than the person in second place, but not first. I can sting without moving. I can poison without touching. I can bear the truth and the lies. You can't judge me by my size. What am I? A word. You measure its life in hours and minutes, and it serves you by expiring. It's quick when it's thin and slow when it's fat. Its biggest enemy is the wind. The longer it lives, the smaller it becomes. What is it? A candle. You probably know that ants move in groups. In one such group, there were 2 ants in front of the other 2 ants, 2 ants behind the other 2 ants, and 2 ants next to the other 2 ants. How many ants were there in the group? A small hint. You probably won't need your calculator to crack this riddle. Even if it may seem there were a lot of ants in the group, in reality, there were just 4. They simply stood in a square formation. Did you get it right? There are some flowers growing in the field and some bees flying over them. How many flowers and bees are there if both of the following statements are true? If all the bees land on all the flowers, 1 bee for a flower, 1 bee won't get a flower. If every 2 bees decide to share a flower, 1 flower will be left without a bee. How fast will you be able to find the answer? There are 4 bees and 3 flowers. Once, Mrs. Smith, Peter, Paul and Patrick's mom heard a loud sound of shattering glass coming from the living room. She ran into the room and saw that her favorite vase was broken. She also spotted a football. She asked her sons what had happened, and each of them told her his own version of the accident. Peter said that Paul hadn't kicked the ball. He added that he knew for sure that Patrick had done this. Paul said that Patrick wasn't guilty. He also added that he hadn't finished his homework. And Patrick said that Paul had broken the vase, and he knew that for sure because Peter didn't play football at home. How could Mrs. Smith understand who broke the vase if the following is true? One boy lied in both of his statements. Two boys told the truth. Now, have you noticed that only one of Paul's statements is related to the accident? The one in which he says that Patrick isn't guilty? What he says about his homework changes nothing. The first of Peter's statement contradicts Patrick's first words and vice versa. This means that it's impossible for both of them to tell the truth. Peter and Paul can't both tell the truth as Paul's words contradict Patrick's second phrase. That's why Patrick and Paul can't lie, meaning that Peter lied in both of his statements. This way, Paul has broken the vase. This is Greg. He's thinking of a 5-digit number. Its first and last digits are the same. Their summation is an even number. And their multiplication is an odd number which is equal to the 4th digit in Greg's imaginary number. If we subtract 5 from it, we'll get the second digit. And if we divide this second digit into half, we'll get the third digit. What number is Greg thinking of? Ready to find out the answer? 34,293. Greg is a reporter for a travel magazine. Today, he enjoys his day off at a beach party. Suddenly, a famous travel blogger, Sergio, shows up at the dance floor. Greg grabs his phone and takes just one picture of Sergio before his battery runs out of power. The next day, he shows this photo at work and receives a promotion. Can you guess why? Take a look at Sergio's feet. It's a full moon and he's turning into a werewolf. That's why this picture is so exclusive. In the evening, Greg returns from work and goes to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? In reality, Greg is holding a tube of toothpaste in his left hand. But in the mirror reflection, he's got nothing in his hand. There is a tree growing in Greg's backyard. It doubles in height each year until it reaches its maximum height within 10 years. How many years did it take for a tree to reach half of its maximum height? Since we know that the height of the tree doubles every year, the correct answer is 9 years. Greg is having a family dinner. Meet his sisters, Bella and Stella. They were born to the same mother on the same day, at the same time, and in the same month and year. But yet, they're not twins. How come? Bella and Stella are two of a set of triplets. The next day, Greg returns to work and makes a report about two travel bloggers, Jake and Mike. They're hiking in the woods separately. Can you guess who has more chances to survive this night by just looking at these pictures? Can you see a cobra hiding in Mike's tent? Mosquito bites are usually not life-threatening, unlike snake venom. Therefore, Jake has more chances to survive. Greg has lost his phone in the office. He's been searching for his missing gadget for several hours. Suddenly, Greg gets an anonymous email saying the following. Can you guess what's written here? It's just written in reverse order. If you read it from right to left, the message turns into, your phone is hidden in the lobby of this building. Bring $300 and I will tell you where exactly. Greg goes to the lobby and spots something very odd about this place. Can you see it too? Look at the TV. They show different programs in reality and in the mirror. Greg is meeting his friend Kyle in their favorite restaurant, but unfortunately, they're both broke. So they only order free water and one chicken sandwich to share. Greg and Kyle have a great time together and take some pictures. But an hour later, Kyle gets very sick and faints. Doctors find out that he was poisoned. Let's take a look at the pictures that the guys took at the restaurant. Can you spot where the poison was? Kyle put pepper in his half of the sandwich, and Mike didn't, so the poison was in the pepper pot. Greg decides to take a walk home through a forest, and eventually he gets lost. There are 3 possible routes to the final destination. The first path leads through a village inhabited by vampires. The second path is full of toxic mold that can make any human lose their mind. And the third path leads through an enchanted forest that turns all human beings into trees. Which way should Greg choose? The first option is the safest. It's a sunny day and the vampires are probably sleeping. On the way, Greg meets a goblin. The creature offers him a deal.
If you crack my riddle, I'll let you go, but if not, I'll wake all the vampires up and you'll never leave this forest.
Greg agrees. Here's the riddle.
How can you drop a raw egg from a height onto a concrete floor without cracking it?
Ready to hear the correct answer? Concrete floors are very hard to crack. The next day, Greg is preparing an article about a safari park. He has these 2 options to illustrate his work. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Here they are. And now Greg's task is to find a model for their advertising campaign. He looks through pictures of these 4 models. Which lady is different from the others? This one, because she has shorter hair. Greg goes to the local food court and purchases some chicken nuggets for lunch. He puts his lunchbox on a table and leaves for a minute to wash his hands and get a fork. Then, Greg comes back and finds out that his lunch is missing. Greg interrogates 3 people nearby. Megan says,
I didn't even look at your food. It wouldn't fit me anyway. I'm on a vegan diet.
I was taking pictures of my croissant for social media. You can see it for yourself if you don't believe me. And Peter says,
Sir, I don't steal food. It's against my principles.
After hearing what they had to say, Greg knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Megan said that Greg's food wasn't vegan, but how does she know that if she hasn't even looked at it? Busted! Greg wants to bring a sweet treat to his coworkers. He has 2 jars of chocolates labeled as V and C. If he moves one chocolate from the V jar to the C, the number of chocolates in the V jar will become twice the number of chocolates in the C jar. But if he moves one chocolate from jar C to V, the number of chocolates in both the jars will become equal. Can you figure out the number of chocolates in each jar respectively? The V jar has 5 chocolates, and jar C has 7. Greg returns to the office and discovers that someone broke his chair. He interrogates 3 coworkers. Will says, "I was at a business meeting for the last 3 hours. I've just returned to my workplace and I didn't notice your chair." Fiona says, "I took Peter's chair today because someone took mine, but I didn't approach your desk." And Peter says,
I spent the whole day at my workplace, but I didn't look around because I had very important work to do.
Who's lying? Peter is sitting on a chair with an inscription of his name. Therefore, Fiona's story is fake. Greg goes to an opening of a new fancy hotel. In the buffet area, he meets these 3 people. Each claims to be a billionaire, but 2 of them are lying. Can you spot the real billionaire? The first lady sneaked a gold fork from the table and hid it in her hair. If she's really rich, she doesn't need to steal cutlery. And the second guy is wearing shoes that are too small for him, so he probably borrowed them from someone else's feet. Therefore, only the third lady is a billionaire. Greg is planning to spend a night in the hotel. Only 3 rooms are available at the moment. A room on the 15th floor with a mind-blowing view, a fancy penthouse with a huge jacuzzi, and a standard double room on the 4th floor. Can you help Greg choose the best option? The first option doesn't exist because the hotel is only 10 stories. And there are cracks inside this jacuzzi. It's not safe to take a bath in this room. So Greg should pick the 3rd room.
Ken went rollerblading on Sunset Avenue when he tripped over a rock. He fell down and hurt his head. It started bleeding, so the ambulance took him to the nearest doctor. As soon as Ken was allowed to have visitors, 3 ladies came inside his room saying they were Barbie. They looked pretty, so Ken got really confused. Take a look at the 3 women that say they are Barbie and see if you can figure out which one is telling the truth. It's the woman on the right. Since Barbie is a doll, she can't change her expression. If you look attentively, you'll see that the first woman is blinking, and the second woman has a wink on her face. This leaves us with the last woman, which is the one and only Barbie. After getting out of the hospital, Barbie suggested that they go get ice cream. Ken said yes, so they went to their favorite place. Barbie ordered a blue ice cream, and Ken got a green one. When they were about to eat their desserts, a stranger came next to them and said one of the ice creams was poisoned. Take a look at the image. Can you tell which ice cream isn't safe to eat? It's Ken's ice cream. Sure, it was originally green, but there's a strange smoke coming out of it. It's probably a reaction to the poison. Yikes! Sure looks like someone's after him, huh? One lovely morning, Barbie was driving to work when her sight suddenly went black. She woke up in an empty warehouse. There was nothing but 4 doors in front of her. She heard very loud noises, like there was a monster approaching. She felt like she needed to escape quickly, otherwise she would turn into the monster's dinner. The 4 doors had signs on them. The leftmost door had a sign saying, "Take the door on the right to break free." The sign on the second door said, "It's the right door." On the third door, it was written, "Freedom is just right in front of you." And the last door had a sign saying, "Don't trust the signs." Can you help Barbie? Which door should she choose? Well, there's a bit of wordplay here. Let's see why. While the first door says to take the door on the right, the second one says it's the right door. It doesn't say if it's the correct door, but the right door, as in the door on the right. The third door says freedom is just right in front of you. That just doesn't make any sense, does it? You can interpret that it's pointing to the door just on Barbie's right, and that is it. She should choose the last door. It says not to trust the other signs, but it doesn't say that they are false, does it? Marjorie is the owner of an organic farm. One morning she walked inside the barn and found all of last week's production of apple juice shattered on the floor. She was devastated. This was going to cost her a fortune. She asked her employees to clean it up. Meanwhile, she took the time to interrogate them. Sean, the farm's volunteer, said that he had put all of the apple juice bottles on the shelf before heading home. He said everything seemed fine until then. Becca said she had gone home earlier than usual because she wasn't feeling well. She said she hadn't even gone inside the barn all day. Tom said he had spent the day painting the fence and also hadn't visited the barn. Can you tell who is lying? Tom is the one lying. Take a look at the fence behind them. It's definitely not painted. Linda was staying at a famous hotel where a lot of celebrities live. The glamorous building had 7 floors. 5 A-list celebrities were living on the ground floor, and 8 Hollywood stars were living on the first floor. On the second floor, there were 11 not-so-famous people. Each floor above those had 3 more celebrities living on it than the previous one. All of these people leave for work every day. Can you guess which floor calls the elevator the most? This is a tricky one. It's on the ground floor. Any person staying on a floor other than the ground floor would have to call the elevator to reach their respective floors. Brendan works in the same company as Mary. He's had a crush on her for months and has been trying to impress her in any way he can think of. That's why he decided to take part in the Brain Challenge, a contest his company organizes once a year. By saying yes, he had to answer a bunch of expert-level questions and solve some pretty difficult riddles. For the first round, he had to crack a rebus puzzle. Take a look at the piece of paper they gave him. Can you guess what the answer is? The answer was broken promises. Ooh, nice. For the next round, they took Brendan to a room full of random stuff. His task was to find a specific object. As a clue, they gave him a piece of paper that said, "What goes up when the rain goes down?" Look around and help Brendan find the object. It was that red and white umbrella over there. That makes sense, huh? Then Brendan was taken into an empty room. The room's door was sealed with a letter combination lock. He looked around and found a slip of paper with the following written on it: P plus 3, N 1, B 1, N plus 4, S plus 1. Can you help him figure out the code word? It took Brendan a while to figure it out, but he was able to crack it. The code word was SMART. The key to this riddle was hidden in the alphabet. Let's see how it works. P plus its 3 following letters is S. N, 1 letter is M, and so on. For the final round, Brendan had to solve an AI riddle. If he answered it correctly, he would win the contest's main prize and probably Amy's heart. The riddle said, "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?" Can you guess what Brendan answered? The correct answer is echo. Dave, a chief police officer, received a call late one night. Mrs. Brown, a famous chemist from UKC, went missing from her lab. Dave spent a few hours searching her lab and found a note with random numbers. It didn't look like a study she had been doing, so Dave guessed it must be a clue about where she was. The note read 26, 3, 58, 28, 27, 57, 16. Based on the note, Dave managed to find where Mrs. Brown was. He found the culprits, arrested them all, and freed the scientist. Can you guess what was written on the encrypted note and how he understood it? Here's how he figured it out. Each number on the note corresponded to an element in the periodic table. So the element that corresponded to the number 26 is Fe, iron. The number 3 is Li, lithium. And 58 is Ce, cerium. Using this logic, the first line spelled out Felice. By the same logic, the second line spelled out Nicholas. After discovering the names, Dave must have tracked the two people down, arrested them, and discovered where they had taken Mrs. Brown. In a small town, 3 teachers went on leave all on the same day. Janet said she had gotten into a car accident and had broken her leg, so she was having difficulty walking with her new cast. Emma complained that she had a very unfortunate workout and had injured her neck, so she was having trouble looking sideways. And Tina said she had fallen from her bike and had hurt her arm. One of the teachers was lying. Can you tell who? It was Janet. She claimed she was having difficulty walking with her cast, but she didn't even have crutches. She must be the one lying.
Hey, here's another opportunity to train your brain and sharpen your logical thinking skills. Don't miss out on it.
Yeah.
Liam was a doctor from Chicago. Once, he asked his boss to let him attend a medical conference in Berlin. The boss let Liam go but asked him to send a photo report as soon as he got to Europe. The next day, the boss received a message from Liam that said, "Hello from Germany. That's me right now." A photo was attached to the message. After looking at it, the boss realized Liam had lied to him. How did he figure it out? In the photo, there's a clock on the wall that shows exactly the same time as the clock in the boss's office. If Liam was in Germany, the clock would show a different time because of the time difference. A bit of math for you. Can you figure out what comes next in this sequence of numbers? It's gonna be this long number. You see, each next number is a verbal representation of the number before it. This way, if we start with 1, the next number in the sequence will be 1, 1. And the next one is 2 1s. And then we've got 1, 2, 1, 1, and so on. Look at this picture attentively. The guy has sent a message to his girlfriend. He seems to be missing her very much, but is it true? Can you figure out if he might be cheating on her? Yes, unfortunately he is. Look at this napkin. There's a lipstick print on it. He must be with another girl. Once, a man came to a police station. He said he'd been robbed on his way to the bank. He was carrying a briefcase with a big sum of money when a man wearing a black mask and gloves attacked him. The robber snatched the briefcase and ran away. The police officer listened to the man and asked him about a fresh cut on his right cheek. The man replied that it was from a ring the criminal had been wearing. After these words, the policeman immediately knew the man was lying. How did he realize it? Are you as attentive as the police officer to figure it out? The man couldn't know about the ring on the robber's finger, since he claimed that the criminal had been wearing gloves. Turn me on my side, and I'm everything. Cut me in half, and I'm nothing. What am I? I'm the number 8. On my side, I look like an infinity symbol. And cut in half, I'm just 2 zeros. Look at these people very attentively. Your task is to find out which girl the man is interested in. Remember that the answer here lies in the details. And this puzzle can tell us how good you are at reading people. Our body language can tell other people a lot about us. The way you sit, stand, and even move your arms can give away what you're thinking about or how you feel. The girls in the picture have different postures and facial expressions. And once we look closely, we will understand that the man is clearly interested in the girl who is most interested in him. But which one is it? The second one from the left. Her feet are pointed towards the man, and we can say the same about his feet. While girls number 1 and 3 are looking at the man too. They aren't into him all that much. Their feet and body language give it away. A wealthy old man didn't have a will, so he ordered his sons to race their horses, and the one whose horse would be slower would receive his inheritance. The 2 sons realized that they would be unable to race since they would be both holding their horses back. So they went to a wise man and asked him what they should do. After listening to his advice, the brothers started racing at full speed. What did the wise man tell them? He recommended switching horses. Now, whoever wins the race will get the inheritance because they will technically own the losing, slower horse. 4 people came to a river with a narrow bridge that could only hold 2 people at a time. It was nighttime, and they had just one torch that had to be used when crossing the bridge. Person A needed 1 minute to cross the bridge, and person B could do it in 2 minutes. It took person C 5 minutes to get to the other side, and person D needed 8 minutes. If 2 people were crossing the bridge together, they had to move at the slower person's pace. Can all these people get across the bridge within 15 minutes or less? Yes, they can. Let's see how it can be done. First, person A and person B cross the bridge, and then person A brings the light back. It takes 3 minutes. Next, person C and person D cross the bridge, and person B brings the light back afterward. It takes another 10 minutes. And finally, person A and person B cross the bridge again. This takes another 2 minutes. In total, we've got 15 minutes. Recently, Mark had been feeling some discomfort in his knees, so he decided to go to the doctor. After examining the man, the specialist gave him a piece of paper, saying, "Here's the solution," and then he left the room. What was written in the note? What did the doctor mean? The treatment is a painless operation. The missing letters spell out pain. Thus, Mark should have a painless operation. Thomas was talking with his colleague, and she asked him how many kids he had. He answered that he had 3 children, and she asked him about their ages. Thomas replied, "The product of their ages is 72, and the sum of their ages is the same as my house number." His colleague was confused. The next time she was invited to Thomas's house, she paid attention to his house number, and still, she couldn't figure out the kids' ages. Tom decided to help her. "Oh, that's right, I forgot to tell you the oldest one likes chocolate pudding." And after that, his colleague figured out the ages of the 3 children. Have you understood how old they are? The kids are 3, 3, and 8. The key to this riddle is the colleague knows the sum of the children's ages, but she still can't tell how old Thomas's children are because she is stuck between several possibilities. To narrow it down further, only 2 sets of numbers that multiply to 72 share the same sum. And that's when the man reveals that his oldest child likes chocolate pudding. Only the latter of these 2 sets has a distinct oldest child. Imagine that you're in a dark room. There's a candle, a wood stove, and a gas lamp there. You only have one match. What do you light first? First of all, you'll need to light the match. These 5 bags of gold all look identical. Each of them has 10 gold pieces in it, but one of the bags contains fake gold. The real gold and fake gold are identical in every way, except the weight. Each piece of fake gold weighs 1.1 ounce, while a piece of real gold weighs 1 ounce. You have a perfectly accurate digital scale, but you can use it only once. How can you determine which bag has the fake gold? You should take 1 gold piece from the first bag, 2 from the second bag, 3 from the third bag, 4 from the fourth bag, and 5 from the fifth bag. If the number on the scale ends in 0.1, you'll know the first bag contains the fake gold. If the number ends in 0.2, then the fake gold is in the second bag, and so on.
Okay, bad news. You got taken. No time to explain. Let's just get out of here. So you find yourself in a dark cell with a dirt floor and a small window at twice your height. There's no food or water, but there's a shovel. Why did they leave the shovel? Don't ask me, I don't know. Just be happy you have it. However, you can't dig your way out because the walls go a long way underground. So, how do you get out? You can still dig and make a high dirt pile that will make you reach the window and get out of there. So you do just that and find yourself in a dark corridor. You have nothing to do but to go straight, hoping that sooner or later you'll find the exit and get out of this creepy place. Half an hour later, you approach a metal door. You have to enter the passcode, but here's a hint. Berlin, 600. Paris, 400. London, 600. Rome, 200. Toronto, what's the passcode? Each consonant in the word gives 200 points, while each vowel takes away 100 points. In the word Toronto, there are 4 consonants that give 800 together. 3 vowels take away 300 points. So the passcode is 500. The door clicks and you leave another obstacle behind. Soon, you approach 3 more doors. Behind the first one, there's an iron block with a movement sensor that will crush everyone who enters. Behind the second door, there's an electric shocker that never misses. Behind the third door, there's broken glass all over the floor. Which way do you choose? You picked the third door, obviously. You're wearing some boots, right? So, walking on the glass is definitely not going to be too hard of a task. You follow the tunnel till you reach the next room. As you step in there, a metal cage falls down from the ceiling and traps you inside. However, there are 3 buttons there. The red button will open the cage, but it'll also open a door with a hungry lion. The blue button will fill the cage with water for 10 minutes, and only then will it open the door. However, keep in mind that people can only live 7 minutes without oxygen. The green button will set the room on fire, but will open the cage door in 5 minutes. Which one do you choose? You should choose the blue button. The water won't be able to fill the cage because it will just splash outside. You'll only have to wait 10 minutes until the door opens, and you'll be able to get out safely. You turn right and immediately bump into a huge guard. Your heart skips a beat and you get paralyzed with fear. To your surprise, the guard looks down at you and asks, "Want to pass?" Speechless, you just nod. Okay. You see, no one here wants to play riddles with me. If you solve one of my riddles, I'll let you go and won't tell anyone I've seen you. Deal? You nod again, and here comes your riddle. What is that invention that lets you see right through walls? That's a window, of course. The guard smiles and says, "Beware of the vampires." Then he moves aside, letting you go. Wow, that was close. And vampires? This gives you chills, but you have to keep moving and get out. And again, another door that requires a passcode. Can you crack it? There's a hint again. You should continue the sequence. OTTFFSSENT. Each of these letters is the first letter of the numbers. O for 1, T for 2, T for 3, then 4, 5, and so on. The last stands for 10, so the next 4 are ETTF, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Yep, that's correct. The door clicks open. Move! You get into a huge dark room. All the light comes from the candles the room is filled with. The problem is that there are 4 ways, and again, you don't know which one to take. Suddenly, each of the doors opens and 4 people walk into the room. There are 2 men, 1 woman, and 1 teenage girl. They all say they're prisoners too, and the other 3 are vampires. Who do you trust? You should trust the second man. He's the only one who casts a shadow from the light of the candles. The other 3 don't, so they must be vampires. So you rush to the man and you shut the door behind yourself. It'll probably slow them down for a while. As you're running, the man tells you he's been here for at least 3 days. The next obstacle is something he couldn't solve by himself, so he couldn't get out. There's just one try, and if you fail, the exit gets blocked for 24 hours. Finally, you come across another door with a robot guarding it. To let you go, the robot needs you to say the password. The tricky thing is that the password is different each time. The man said that as he was hiding in the room, he saw the vampires passing it twice. The first time, the robot said 12, and the vampire said 6. The other time, the robot said 6, and the vampire said 3. When the man approached the robot the last time, the robot said 8. The man replied 4, but the robot didn't let him in. The door got blocked, so it wasn't the right answer. You nod and approach the robot. The robot says 4. What is your answer? The answer is 4. The rule isn't dividing the number by 2, but saying the number of letters in the word. Your answer is accepted. The robot opens the door and lets you go. Again, another dark room. But as you step into it, you get surrounded by 8 hungry dogs. In the middle, there's a meat cake standing so high on the table that the dogs can't reach it. To calm them down and make them your friends, before they make you their dinner, you have to feed them the cake. But here's a tricky thing: the knife is magical and can only make 3 cuts. After 3 cuts, it disappears. Your task is to divide the cake into 8 equal pieces with these 3 cuts. How can you manage that? With 1 cut, you cut the cake in half and get 2 pieces. Then you make another perpendicular cut and get 4 pieces. With your last move, you have to cut the cake in the middle horizontally, splitting each of the 4 pieces into 2 at once. Great job! Now, give each of the dogs a piece of cake and get out of there immediately. You rush to the door and lock it behind yourselves. You're in a tunnel again, and this time there's no light at all. You move in complete darkness, putting your hand to the wall so that you know where to go. You walk like that for at least half an hour when, finally, you see some light. You run towards it and come across another massive door that requires a passcode. Luckily, there's a hint again, but there will be 2 questions appearing one by one. To get the passcode, you have to solve both of them and put the answers together. Ready? How many months have 28 days? All 12 of them, obviously. Okay, next one. Here's the sequence of letters. S, M, H, D, W. What are the other 2 letters? S stands for seconds, M for minutes, H for hours, D is for days, W is for weeks. So the next letters are M for months and Y for years. And the full passcode is 12MW. The door clicks and you're outside. Finally! There's actual air and sun. But before you start thinking about what happened and what to do next, a police officer comes up to you. With him, there are 2 ladies wearing paper bags over their heads. "Sir, are you Mr. Jones?" the police officer asks. You reply, "That's you exactly." However, the police officer looks suspicious. "Well, we can't know for sure that you're not one of these criminals pretending to be someone else, so we have to test you. One of these ladies is your bride. Tell us which one it is." And now, you finally remember what happened. It was your wedding morning. You were about to get married, and then you found yourself in that dungeon. Well, the problem is that you haven't seen your wife-to-be wedding dress yet, so you can't even tell which one is the right one. Is there any other way to tell? Think carefully. With their faces covered, these girls are absolutely identical. You didn't need much time. You notice that one of the girls is wearing a wedding ring already. However, you and your bride aren't married yet, so she's not supposed to have one. And the one who doesn't have it is yours. Congratulations! The girl removes the bag, and you see that it's really her. Right behind you, the door opens and the vampires walk out. You're about to start screaming, but they take off their wigs and they turn out to be your friends. So, was it all a prank? Well, yeah, it was. But don't be mad. You had fun, right? Well, most of the time. You ready? Here's another brain-busting workout for you. And off we go. After classes, Margot was studying in the library. At one point, she left for the bathroom. When the girl returned, she found out her wallet was gone. Margot immediately called the police. The librarian said she'd seen some guy, but she had poor eyesight and couldn't remember what he looked like. After listening to her vague description, the police officers questioned 3 students. Owen said he had been studying and hadn't even left his desk until the police arrived. Finn said he'd seen the girl but never really paid attention to her. He was looking for some books. Lucas said he'd been busy talking to his friend on the phone. He hadn't seen anything. Can you figure out who stole the wallet? It was Luca. He said he'd been talking on the phone, but it's prohibited in the library. If he had used his phone, he'd have been immediately kicked out. So he's lying. During a casual walk deep in the forest, Esme got lost. After hours of wandering, she saw a witch's house. Esme asked the elderly woman to show her the way back. The witch refused, but she was in a good mood and offered a deal. She gave Esme 3 apples. 2 of them were poisoned and 1 was okay to eat. The girl had to pick 1 apple and bite into it. If she didn't get poisoned, the witch would show her the way home. Esme was a smart girl and managed to do it. How did she know which apple to pick? In 1 apple, there was a worm, which means it was safe to eat. A student was having an exam and he was about to fail it. The professor decided to give him 1 more chance and asked the last question. It was, "What's my oldest daughter's name?" The student was puzzled. The professor decided the question was too hard and gave the guy a hint. He wrote down 3 numbers, 58, 3, and 11. Can you help the student answer the question? It's a chemistry class. The riddle must be related to this subject. Have a look at the periodic table. The 58th element is cerium, or Ce. The 3rd element is lithium, Li. And the 11th element is sodium, or Na. If you put all of them together, you'll get the name Selena. The professor liked the game. When another student was struggling with his task, he gave him another puzzle. The man said, "I have daughters. All of them, except 2, have dark hair. All of them, except 2, have blonde hair. And all of them, except 2, have red hair. How many daughters do I have?" Can you help the student out? This time, the riddle has nothing to do with chemistry. Pure logic. The professor has 3 daughters. 1 of them has dark hair, the 2nd is blonde, and the 3rd daughter has red hair. Ben was walking in the park at night when someone knocked him out and stole all his stuff. The guy went to the police. 3 people, Cole, Jerry, and Bernard, were in the park at that time. They got arrested. The detective gave each of them a marker and asked them to write their names on the whiteboard. As soon as they finished, he immediately arrested the right person. Who was guilty, and how did the detective find it out? It was Jerry. Ben was hit from the right. It means the person who did it was left-handed. Among the 3 suspects, that's only Jerry. Really? Ben and Jerry? I think I need some ice cream. A member of an expedition to the South Pole found himself in a frozen cave. He didn't remember what had happened, but he knew he had to get out. The man saw 3 doors and a note saying what was behind each of them. Behind the first door, there was a hungry polar bear. Behind the second door, there was a room filled with poisonous gas. And behind the third, there was a room with sharp icicles falling from the ceiling every second. Which door should the man choose to survive? He should pick the first door. He's at the South Pole. There are no polar bears there. After classes, Nora stayed at the university. She needed to finish her project. She was sitting in the hallway. Soon she got hungry. The girl went to grab some food and left all her stuff behind. When Nora returned, she checked her things and called the police. She told them what had happened and reported her wallet stolen. There were 3 other students nearby. All of them were questioned. Kennedy said she had been texting her friends. Ethan said, "I did sit close to Nora for a while, but I didn't see or touch her wallet." Gabriella said she had been in the classroom and just walked out a couple minutes before. The detective listened to them and left without arresting anyone. Why? The detective remembered that Nora had gone to get some food. It means the wallet was with her and couldn't be stolen. The girl lied. 3 women, Sarah, Milla, and Eleanor, went shopping. 2 of them are pregnant, and 1 is a professional watermelon thief. Yeah, I know, but just humor me. Can you tell which one stole the watermelon? It's Milla. She's wearing heels. It's not the kind of shoes pregnant women would wear. Aurora was spending her summer in the countryside. She often took long walks in the forest alone. One day, she saw a huge mansion. It was obvious no one lived there, so she entered the house. It was dusty inside, but still beautiful. Aurora took some pictures and left the place. When the girl came back home, she looked through her photos. She wanted to pick the best ones to post on her social media, but then she saw one of the photos and screamed. Take a careful look at this photo. Can you see what scared her so much? Aurora noticed she, herself, was in the photo. But it's impossible. She was alone in the house. Stella and Adeline were sisters. Their grandmother once presented Adeline a bracelet. But both girls loved this piece of jewelry very much. So sometimes Stella snuck into her sister's room and borrowed the bracelet. One day, Adeline came home and noticed the bracelet was gone. She knocked on her sister's door. Stella opened the door, realized it was her sister, and shut it again. In a couple of minutes, Adeline managed to break into the room. She started searching for the bracelet. Stella told her that this time she hadn't taken Adeline's jewelry. Adeline didn't find anything and had to leave. But on her way out, she remembered something and managed to get her bracelet back. Where was it? When Stella opened the door, she had her hair down. But later, she already had her hair tied up. In those few minutes, she made a bun and hid the bracelet in her hair. On a rainy summer night, Mrs. Miller came home after work. Her neighbor, Mrs. Smith, visited her. The women wanted to have some tea together. Mrs. Smith said her daughter was at a party. She met one of Mrs. Miller's triplet sons there. Mrs. Miller asked which one it was, but her friend didn't know. Her daughter could never tell the guys apart. The problem was all 3 of them were grounded and weren't allowed to go out until the next week. Mrs. Miller wanted to find out who had broken the rules. She called the boys and asked how they'd spent the day. Ian, the artist, said, "In the evening, I was outside drawing." Ryan, the musician, said, "I spent all day inside writing a new song." Luke, who likes sports, said, "I did a workout and spent the rest of the day reading." Mrs. Miller understood which of her sons was lying and grounded him for another month. Who's the liar, and how did she know? Ian lied. He said he'd been drawing outside, but it was raining. Another day, another walk in the forest, and Esme got lost again. And still, she managed to find the way to the witch's house. This time, the woman had another task for Esme. The witch gave Esme a candy bar and a knife. She was going to perform 7 tricks. After each of them, Esme had to give her 1/7 of the bar. But there was a catch. The knife was magical and could only make 2 cuts. It was also impossible to break the bar or cut it without the knife. How did Esme fulfill these conditions and return home? Esme made 2 cuts, dividing the bar into the following pieces: 1/7, 2/7, and 4/7. After the first trick, she gave the witch the 1/7 piece. After the second one, the girl offered the woman the 2/7 piece and took away the 1/7. After the third trick, she gave the witch the smallest piece back. After the fourth trick, Esme took away the first 2 pieces and gave the woman the 4/7 piece. Then she gave her the smallest piece again. After the sixth trick, the girl took away the 1/7 and gave the witch the 2/7 piece. And after the last trick, she gave the woman the smallest part of the bar again. Bonus question. Hey, if Esme is so smart, how come she keeps getting trapped in the forest? I have no answer.
Mary is a college student, and she's late for class. That's why she runs down the hallway and bumps into a skateboarder. She hits her head and forgets what class she was running to. Mary remembers just 3 things. This class is taught by a redhead professor. She has to go upstairs, and she already attended economics and philosophy classes today. Can you help her find the correct classroom? There are 4 redhead professors in this college, but we can exclude those whose classrooms are on the ground floor. Although this gentleman is on the first floor, he teaches economics, so he doesn't fit either. Meanwhile, the math teacher matches the requirements perfectly, so Mary should go up to the second floor. Mary's walking down the street after classes. Suddenly, a car stops in front of her and someone kidnaps her. Mary wakes up in a dusty basement. The door is not locked, but it's guarded by a creepy guy. She looks around and finds 3 pills: red, green, and blue. Each pill will give her one specific superpower for 10 seconds. The red pill gives the power of super speed. The blue pill will make her invisible. And the green one will make Mary fly. Which pill should she choose to escape? Mary should choose the invisibility pill. The guard will not be able to catch her if he's not aware that she's running away. The next day, Mary goes to college and faces amazing news. Her friend Bill succeeded in making clones of some students. But unfortunately, now he cannot tell clones from real people. Can you help him? Let's take a closer look at the second lady's eyes and the third lady's ears. These 2 individuals are definitely clones. What about these guys? Can you sort out all the clones? Both of the palms of the second guy are right, and the third one has weird wires in his arm. So only the first guy is a human. Let's see if you can spot clones here. The first and the third guys are too suspicious for regular human beings. Mary is visiting her granny, who lives on a farm and grows vegetables. But Granny is very upset because someone stole the largest pumpkin from her garden the other night. She suspects one of her neighbors. Mary decides to question them. Olivia says, "My pumpkins are way better than your granny's. Why would I steal from her?" Sam says, "I was on a business trip the other night, so I didn't see anything. I'm not a huge fan of vegetables, that's why I don't grow them." And Tom says, "Your granny is bothering me with small talk all the time, so I avoid visiting her farm at all costs." Can you help Mary spot the thief? It was Sam. He has a scarecrow with a big pumpkin head. Granny goes to sleep early, and Mary decides to watch TV. Breaking news! A dangerous criminal ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the village. Suddenly, Mary hears someone knocking on the door. She opens and faces 2 ladies who introduce themselves as Mary's neighbors. Both ladies are baking cakes separately. Sarah is asking for a cup of sugar, and Sheila would like to borrow a cup of milk. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Both ladies are wearing clothes with red stains. They might have stained it while making their cakes. But Sarah has a real axe hidden in her boot, so she must be the runaway criminal from the news. Mary is looking through Granny's old stuff and finds 3 spooky pictures. Only one of these ladies is a real human being. Can you guess who? The first lady is a real mermaid. Take a closer look at her neck. She has gills and she breathes underwater, so we can exclude her. The third lady has vampire ears and red eyes, but who knows, maybe it's just a costume. Meanwhile, the second lady is hanging on a transparent rope, so she's just pretending to be flying. And since we know there's only one human among these ladies, we can conclude that it's the second lady. Mary finds 2 similar pictures of her granny. Can you spot 3 differences between them? Here they are. Later that night, Mary receives a video call from her grandpa. He's working on a space station. Grandpa tells Mary sad news.
Tonight, someone from my team stole all the seeds from the local Martian kiwi. It took me a year to obtain them. I'd like to find the one who did it as soon as possible. Otherwise, it'll take years to find new seeds.
Mary takes a brief look at the crew and spots the thief right away. What about you? In her user picture, Lily doesn't have any moles on her face. Seems like these spots are the kiwi seeds that she's decided to hide in plain sight. Mary goes to the local shopping mall and sees these 3 guys. One of them is going on a date tonight. Can you guess who? It must be the third guy. He's hiding a small wrapped gift, probably for his date. Mary enters a clothing store, looks around, and spots 4 odd details. Have you noticed them too? The mannequin has 6 fingers on one of her hands. The ceiling fan is not connected to any wires, but it works. The lady is eating ice cream near the cashmere sweaters, but there's a sign at the entrance forbidding customers from entering with food, and the sales lady is walking barefoot. Mary continues her shopping and finds something very curious. It has a head and a tail that will never meet. Having too many of them is always a treat. What is it? It's a coin. Mary purchases something that helps you from your head to your toe, but the more it works, the smaller it grows. Can you guess what it is? It's a bar of soap. Mary gets out of the shopping mall and walks to the parking lot. She approaches her car and sees that someone had written a couple of words on her windshield. Mary finds 3 suspects and questions them. Chelsea says, "I'm sorry, but I didn't see anything. I was too busy with my shopping bags." Peter says, "I've just parked my car nearby. Your windshield was already signed when I arrived there." And Alice says, "Wow, lady, you're still very lucky. Take a look at my car. Someone scratched it while I was in the supermarket." Who's guilty? Chelsea. Take a look at her lipstick color. It's purple, just like the inscription on Mary's car. Mary wants to take her car to the nearest car wash. Chelsea offers to pay for the cleaning if Mary manages to crack her riddle. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What am I? Ready to hear the correct answer? Footsteps. The weekend is over and Mary leaves Granny for college. She enters the dorm and finds a huge bouquet of roses on her bed. There's no card, so Mary has no idea who's her secret admirer. Mary questions 3 suspects, but each denies their involvement. Bill says, "I'm too broke. I can't afford to buy such an expensive gift." Paul says, "I have a girlfriend. I give flowers to her only." And Dave says, "Why would I get roses or anything else? You didn't reply to messages." Who brought the flowers? Bill. He has a few rose petals left under his bed. Mary goes to the local library. Oh no, the door is locked. Someone changed the 9-digit password, but luckily, Mary finds a note with a hint. 3, 1, 2, 9, 4, 7. Can you help her figure out the new code to open the door? She should literally press 3 1s, 2 9s, and 4 7s. Finally, Mary enters the library, but she yells and runs away in fear. Can you guess why? Take a look at the flower pots. There's a greenish snake crawling around one of the plants. You think you're a math genius? Well, here's your chance to prove that. For I have prepared the ultimate IQ test for you. Don't forget to keep track of your correct answers.
Yeah.
Take a look at the image. Can you tell me what's the number of the parking space covered by the car? Well, this math question actually requires no math whatsoever. If you flip the image upside down, you'll see that what you're dealing with is a simple number sequence. So, the correct answer is 87. I am an odd number. Take away 1 letter and I become even. What number am I? The answer is 7. Take away the S and it becomes even. There's a 3-digit number. The second digit is 4 times as big as the third digit, while the first digit is 3 less than the second digit. What is the number? The correct answer is 141. Sally is 54 years old and her mother is 80. Can you tell me how many years ago Sally's mother was 3 times Sally's age? It was 41 years ago when Sally was 13 and her mother was 39. I add 6 to 11 and get 5. Can you tell me how that's possible? Well, you'll need to use your critical thinking skills to solve this rather than your math knowledge and shift your perspective. When it is 11 a.m., adding 6 hours makes it 5 p.m. That's how the equation is possible. What is the smallest number that is increased by 12 when it's flipped and turned upside down? The answer is 86. When it's turned upside down and flipped, it becomes 98, which is 12 more than 86. My twin lives at the reverse of my house number. The difference between our house numbers ends in 2. What are the lowest possible numbers of our house numbers? I never said these math riddles were going to be easy to solve. Anyway, here's the answer to this one. The lowest possible numbers for the houses are 19 and 91. The difference is 72. A father is 4 times as old as his son. In 20 years, he will be twice as old. How old are they now? The father is 40 years old and the son is 10 years old. What 3 positive numbers give the same answer when multiplied and added together? The answer is 1, 2, and 3. You have a 3-gallon bottle and a 5-gallon bottle. How can you measure exactly 4 gallons of water? Fill the 3-gallon bottle and pour it into the 5-gallon bottle. Then fill the 3-gallon bottle again and carefully pour it into the 5-gallon bottle until the 5-gallon bottle is full. This will leave 1 gallon in the 3-gallon bottle. Empty the 5-gallon bottle and pour the 1 gallon from the 3-gallon bottle into it. Now, fill the 3-gallon bottle one more time and pour it into the 5-gallon bottle, giving you 4 gallons in the 5-gallon bottle. How can a chef use an 11-minute hourglass and a 7-minute hourglass to time vegetables that must be cooked for 15 minutes consequently? Turn over both hourglasses at the same time, but don't put any vegetables in just yet. When the 7-minute hourglass runs out, put in the vegetables immediately. There will be 4 minutes left on the 11-minute hourglass. When that runs out, just flip it back over for another 11 minutes. That gives you the 4 minutes plus the 11 minutes, which makes 15 minutes. A box contains 6 red balls, 4 green balls, and 2 blue balls. Without looking, what's the minimum number of balls you need to draw to ensure you have at least 2 balls of the same color? The answer is 4. Here's why. Because even if the worst-case scenario happens, which is you'll draw 1 ball of each color, the next ball you'll pick will match one of the colors drawn previously. What comes next in this sequence? You see, each number in this sequence is generated by taking a square of a natural number, aka 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then adding that natural number itself. For example, the first number in the sequence is the square of 1 plus 1. The second is the square of 2 plus 2, and so on. According to that formula, the next number in this sequence will be 30. You have a set of scales and 8 balls. One of the balls is slightly heavier than the rest, but you don't know which one. You can use the scales only twice. How can you find the heavier ball? As step 1, you need to pick 6 balls and weigh them 3 on each side of the scale. If the balls balance each other, then weigh the remaining 2 balls, and the heavier one will tilt the balance on its side. But if the balls do not balance each other, then the heavier ball should be one of the 3 balls on the side the balance tilts. From these 3 balls, discard one of them and choose the other 2 to weigh. If the 2 balls balance each other, then the heavier one is the discarded 3rd ball. If not, the heavier one will tilt the balance on its side. Take a look at this table. According to it, what will 7 plus 3 make? So in these equations, you first subtract the second number from the first number. Then, you put the 2 numbers together without any mathematical operation. For example, in 4 plus 2 equals 26, you subtract 2 from 4, which is 2. And then you add 4 and 2 together, which is 6. And this gives you 26. So, for 7 plus 3, you subtract 3 from 7, which is 4. And then you add 7 and 3 together, which results in 410. A grandmother, 2 mothers, and 2 daughters went to a baseball game together and bought 1 ticket each. How many tickets did they buy in total? They bought 3 tickets. The grandmother is also a mother, and the mother is also a daughter. What can you put between a 7 and an 8 so that the result is greater than a 7 but less than an 8? A decimal, because even 7.8 is greater than 7 but less than 8. If 7 people meet each other and each person shakes hands only once with each other, how many handshakes will there be in total? The first person shakes the hand of 6 others. The second person shakes the hand of 5 remaining people. The third person shakes the hand of 4 remaining people, and so on. So, you can reach the correct answer by adding 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 together, which will give you 21 handshakes. Jessica works at SeaWorld. When she tries to put each fish in its own aquarium, she has 1 fish too many. But if she puts 2 fish per aquarium, she has 1 aquarium too many. How many fish and how many aquariums does Jessica have? She has 3 aquariums and 4 fish. David is the owner of a clothing store, and he has come up with his own method of pricing items. According to it, a vest costs $20, socks cost $25, a tie costs $15, and a blouse costs $30. Using the same method, how much would a pair of underwear cost? The pricing method consists of charging $5 for each letter required to spell the item. So, a pair of underwear will cost $45. Let's check your results. If you got 0 to 6 questions right, maybe math equations are not your strong suit, but your talents might be lying elsewhere. Just find what that is to shine your light on the world. If you got 7 to 11 questions right, it shows that you have potential, but maybe you were just out of your element today. I suggest you try again when you feel like you can concentrate more. If you got 12 to 16 questions right, the Genius Club has saved you a spot. Just practice more and you'll get there in no time. If you got 16 to 20 questions right, my friend, you bow to no one. Bobby was invited to take part in a famous game show. If she got all the answers correctly, she would win the prize of $1 million. For the first round, she needed to match the bird in the image with its correct shadow. Can you help her out? Yep, it's the fifth shadow. That's the correct one. For the second round, she needed to solve this rebus puzzle. Take a look at the image. Can you help Bobby figure out the next two letters? The answer was staring her right in the face, quite literally. The next two letters were A and W, which are the initial letters of the word and plus the word why. Next up, the game show host projected this image right in front of her. He asked her if she could find the hidden number in the image. Can you guess which number Bobby answered? Number 2. It was hidden right there in the middle. Since Bobby was getting everything right, the game show presenter decided to make the riddles more difficult. He asked her how many circles were in this image. Can you help her out here? This one was a little trickier, but there are 6 circles. Bobby was getting closer to the final round, so the host decided to make her life a bit more difficult. He picked a riddle that 90% of the people failed to know the answer to. Take a look at this image. The host asked Bobby to cut the main object in the image into 4 equal parts. How could Bobby do that? There it is. You just divide the big shape into smaller versions of itself. To win the final prize, the host came up with a riddle on the spot. He asked Bobby, "On my way to Berlin, I saw a man with 7 wives. Each wife had 7 sacks. Each sack had 7 cats. Each cat had 2 kittens. How many were going to Berlin?" Can you help Bobby figure out the answer to this riddle? Well, only one person was going to Berlin, the person who saw the whole thing. Way to go, Bobby. You just won $1 million. Dan opened a time portal and set free a group of mutant ants inside his lab. The 4 humans left in the lab needed to escape before the ants caught up. To do so, they needed to cross an old rope bridge hanging on top of a massive gorge. By Dan's calculations, the ants would catch up with the lab team in 17 minutes. They needed to get everyone across the bridge before that. Dan was the fastest one in the group. He could cross the bridge in 1 minute. The lab assistant, Becky, could cross it in 2, but the janitor and the professor were slower. The first needed 5 minutes and the second needed 10. How could they arrive at the other side safely, knowing that the bridge could only hold 2 people at a time and each group needed to carry the sole lantern left to illuminate the way? Here's how it works. Dan and Becky cross first, carrying the lantern. After 2 minutes, both of them are across the bridge and Dan, the quickest, runs back with the lantern. Then the professor and the janitor cross together, taking them 10 minutes. In total, 13 minutes have elapsed. Becky grabs the lantern from them and dashes across the bridge to help Dan get across. With 2 minutes left on the clock, Dan and Becky arrive safely on the other side, just in time to cut the rope and save their lives. Alice had an epic fight with her best friend, Jen. They were supposed to go hiking together, but after the fight, Alice decided to go alone. After a long walk, she found a place to settle down for the night. She made all the provisions to have a safe camping night, but the next morning when she woke up, she saw that her food bag was empty. Someone had stolen all the food inside and only left the bag. Take a look at the image. Can you find out who the culprit was? Well, although there were animal footprints on the floor, none of these animals were big or tall enough to reach Alice's bag hanging on the tree. But hey, what's that? It looks like Jen's hairband. She must have followed Alice and decided to prank her by stealing her food. Peter got tired of big city life and moved to a quiet village. He opened a small coffee shop and his place soon got popular. His coffee shop was the talk of the town. Farmers, hipsters, and travelers came all over the region to drink his famous cappuccino. He even won an award for best coffee shop in the area. Until one night, someone broke into the coffee shop and stole his yearly supply of milk and coffee. Peter decided to investigate on his own and interrogated 4 suspects. Dylan, a painter, said he'd been out of the city that night. Leah, who worked at the coffee shop, said she had been working on a personal project all night long. Vanessa said she'd been rehearsing a dance for the upcoming New Year's presentation. And Jason, a farmer, said he'd been taking care of his cattle. Take a look at the suspects. Can you figure out who's the culprit? They sure didn't have the best alibis, but the culprit is definitely Vanessa. She said she was rehearsing for a New Year's show. But take a look at these flowers. It's clearly spring. For a school challenge, 100 students received a number between 1 and 100. Each student was instructed to go inside a classroom that had exactly 100 boxes, randomly numbered between 1 and 100. Inside each box there was a slip of paper, also containing a random number between 1 and 100. Now, each student needed to enter the classroom on their own and find the box that contained the slip of paper with the student's number on it. But to do so, the student was only allowed to open a maximum of 50 boxes. They were instructed to leave the room exactly as they found it, and they weren't allowed to communicate with any other students once they'd left the room. If all the students were able to find their numbers in the slips of papers inside the boxes, they would each win $100. But if even one of them wasn't able to find their number, then none of them would win the prize. Can you figure out what's the best strategy for all the students to find their numbers and win the prize? This riddle sure isn't obvious, but let's check out how it could work. If each student searched for their numbers randomly, they would each have a 50% chance of finding the box with their number inside. This is so because there were 100 boxes and they were allowed to look inside 50 of them. However, the probability of all of them finding their own number following this random strategy is absurdly small. So, to increase their chances of collectively finding their numbers, they would need a better strategy. The students could use something called the loop strategy. Once entering the classroom, they should go directly towards the box that had their number on top of it. The number inside probably wouldn't be their number, but that's okay. They should check the number inside the box and go look for the box with that same number on top of it, and so on and so forth. They should keep doing this until they find the slip with their number on it. This strategy means that 31% of the time, all students would be able to find their number and win the prize. It's not a huge probability, but hey, at least they'll have fun trying to figure all of this out.
Oliver was attacked in his flat and taken to the hospital. There are 4 suspects, all of them Oliver's neighbors. Wow, I'd find another apartment. Amelia said she'd been walking in the park since early morning. Henry explained he had been painting in his studio and had heard nothing. Jacob said he had been repairing his car. Sophia answered she'd been taking a bath for the past 3 hours. Look at these people's hands and try to figure out who's lying. It's a bit strange that Jacob, who was repairing his car, and Henry, who was painting, both have such clean hands. But they could be wearing gloves. On the other hand, Sophia's hands and fingers don't have wrinkles. But it would be a natural skin reaction after 3 hours in a bathtub. Sophia, you've been caught smooth-handed. The police found out there was a new smuggler in town. 3 people were under suspicion: Luna, a school bus driver, Jackson, a fire truck driver, and Daniel, an ambulance driver. All of them claimed to have been busy with their work since the very morning. Can you figure out who's the smuggler? Look at the car Daniel drives. On such vehicles, the word ambulance is normally written backward. It's done so that other drivers can instantly read the inverted word in their rearview mirrors. Well, it seems Daniel has given himself away. It was the day when Jacob was supposed to be discharged from the hospital. He had spent a couple of months there and underwent several surgeries. His doctor told him he was going to be fine. It was safe for Jacob to leave the hospital. But the guy didn't believe these promises. In low spirits, he walked home. On the way, he accidentally bumps into an elderly lady. She gets furious and started to shout at Jacob. But instead of arguing back, he hugged the woman and ran home. Why? Jacob had hearing loss. He didn't believe his problem could be helped. But when he heard the woman shouting at him, he realized the doctor had told him the truth. Maybe the doctor should have shouted. Chloe stayed late at the office that day. When she was driving home, the woman was worn out. At one moment, she even started to doze off. That's when it happened. She spun off the road and crashed through the fence that was on her way. She couldn't control the car anymore. It slipped down a steep hill and ended up in a lake. Chloe couldn't move her arms. They were stuck. She couldn't undo her seatbelt or open the door. The car sank to the bottom of the lake. Was Chloe doomed? Rescuers arrived 3 hours later. The woman was still in the car, but she was alive. How did she survive? After the car hit the bottom of the lake, the water only came up to Chloe's throat. It was a very shallow lake. Good thing, huh? It was Jack's birthday, and the fellow got a present he had been dreaming about for ages – a motorbike. The next morning, he rode his bike to college and left it at the parking lot. During lunchtime, Jack decided to check on his motorbike. Imagine his horror when he found out someone had broken the mirrors. The security guard told Jack only 3 other people had left his building in the afternoon. They were Owen and Sam, 2 best friends, and Layla, the girl who once liked Jack but got turned down by him. Owen said he and Sam had gone to the campus cafe to get sandwiches for lunch. Sam confirmed this. He then added the bike could have been damaged by Layla out of revenge. But Layla told Jack her mother had visited her and they had spent 2 hours together. So, who's lying? Owen has a paper bag with food delivery written on it. It means the guys ordered their lunch, not bought it in the cafe. They broke Jack's mirrors and tried to frame Layla. Not a good reflection on them, huh? Detective Taylor was chasing a dangerous criminal. Suddenly, the man entered a hospital. Oh no, there are hundreds of rooms there. Luckily, it was raining, and the criminal left footprints on the hospital floor. The detective followed them and got into a small room. There were 3 people there, all covered in bandages from head to toe. But one of them was a fake patient. Who? It was the dude in the middle. He didn't even have a medical chart next to his bed. Very quick job on the bandages, though. The CEO of a large company called the police. He was sure that one of his employees, Victoria, had stolen a memory card with secret information. She was going to sell it to their competitors. The police arrived at Victoria's house, but the woman didn't let them in without a warrant. The officers had to leave to get all the necessary papers. By the time they were back, Victoria had already been sitting in her car, ready to drive off. The police officers arrested the woman. They searched her car and clothes, but found nothing. And then, when they were about to give up, one of the detectives realized where Victoria kept the memory card. Can you figure it out? When the police first came to her, the woman had her hair down. But after that, Victoria changed her hairstyle. The memory card is in her bun. Yep, Victoria and her sticky bun. Michael was going home from the gym when everything went black. When he regained consciousness, he found out he was in a locked room. Next to the door, there was a computer with a keyboard. On the screen, there was a riddle. Michael had to write the correct answer and the door would open. The riddle went like this. It makes two people out of one. What is it? Michael typed the needed word and the door opened. He was free to go. What was the answer? It's a mirror. Oh, I was guessing a buzzsaw, but this one is better and not as messy. Two best friends, Emily and Luna, came to a popular and expensive hair salon. At first, the administrator told the girls they had just one available hairstylist. But after making a phone call, she happily announced she had found another hairdresser. Emily and Luna could have their hair done at the same time. But in the process, it dawned on the girls that one of the hairstylists was fake. Which one? Both hairstylists are using regular scissors, but instead of hairspray, the one on the left is holding a can of bug spray. Yeah, that's a big clue right there. A man on a bike grabbed Sarah's bag with all her documents, money, and smartphone and sped off. The only way the girl can get her bag back is by taking someone's car and driving after the criminal. There are 3 vehicles parked nearby. Which one can Sarah break into and drive off? Borrow. A man is sitting in the blue car. That's no good. If she decides to take the red car, CCTV will spot her. Her only option is the brown vehicle. Oh, and Sarah, don't forget to return the wheels when you get your bag back, otherwise you'll be Grand Theft Sarah. Mary and her younger brother Alex were mushroom hunting in the forest. Wait, mushroom hunting? What do? Sneak up on them so they don't escape? Anyway, they started a quarrel. Alex got angry and ran away. After several minutes, Mary rushed after him. She was still fuming, but also worried. Soon, the girl reached a small river. A man was sitting on the shore. Did you see a teenager here?" Mary asked. "Yep, he's just taken a boat and made it to the other side." But Mary didn't believe the man. Why? The boat is indeed on the other side, but the paddles are lying next to the man. How could the boy cross the river without them? So, where's Alex? Kidnapped by the escaped mushrooms? We may never know. Ella came to a party that took place in her best friend's house. It was a riddle party. All the guests had to crack mysteries and participate in different challenges. Ella's task was to get out of a locked room in the basement. The girl was blindfolded, taken downstairs, and left alone. After pulling the piece of cloth off her eyes, Ella noticed the door had a code lock. She also spotted a sheet of paper lying on the floor next to the door. There were 4 flowers drawn there. Ella looked at them for a while and entered the correct code. The door opened and the girl joined the party. So, what was the code? Ella counted the petals on each flower. The code was 5748. Carter was visiting his friend Mateo, who lived in another city. Mateo loved riddles. In the evening, he challenged Carter to get the key to the guest room where the guy was supposed to be sleeping. Mateo dropped the key in the bucket filled with cold water and told Carter to get it. But he couldn't touch the water or use anything to pull the key out. That night, Carter slept in the guest room. How did he get the key? He put the bucket over a fire. The water started to boil and soon evaporated. After that, Carter picked the key up. Mateo was steamed. Nora was an insurance agent. Once, her client called her early in the morning. The woman was in tears. At night, someone had broken into her house. By the time the woman had enough courage to go downstairs, the thief had already taken all the valuables. When she looked out of the window, the man was running away. "Do you remember what he looked like?" Nora asked. The client answered, "It was still dark outside. I understood it was a man, tall and thin. He had dark hair and was wearing a V-neck t-shirt." Nora immediately realized her client had staged the burglary. How did she figure it out? It was dark, and the man was running away from the client's house. Then how could the woman see he was wearing a V-neck t-shirt? Beats me.
Hannah runs a dance show. She arrived in Finland with the 3 best dancers to perform during the winter holidays. On the first day of the trip, Hannah started to feel really bad and was taken to the doctor. After examining Hannah, the doctor claimed that someone had poisoned the girl. Hannah's manager flew in to interrogate each one of the dancers and find out if they'd had anything to do with what happened to Hannah. Kira said that she and the other girls had left the hotel early in the morning to explore the city. She also mentioned that Hannah had stayed behind to do a conference call in her room. Pam said she had spent the afternoon swimming at the beach, and that when she returned, she noticed Hannah was looking pretty bad. April said she decided to go to the museum all by herself since the other girls didn't want to join her. Hannah's manager noticed the girls' testimonies didn't match, and that it was definitely one of them who'd done it. Can you guess who is the culprit? It was Pam.
Oh, no.
She mentioned she'd gone to the beach, but it's wintertime in Finland. The water is freezing and mainly frozen this time of the year. She should have worked better on her alibi.
Oh no!
Hannah's manager called the police, and they arrested Pam. Kira and April felt bad for their friend, but they still had to put on a show, and now they were a dancer short. The girls decided to look online for a new dancer. They found 3 girls who might do a good job at replacing Pam. Deborah, Lily, and Sally. One of the girls is a perfect match for the trio. Can you guess who? It's Sally. Both of the other profiles are fake. If you look closely at Deborah's picture, you'll see that the shadow on the back is not hers. It's definitely photoshopped. And look at Lily's birthday information. If that were true, she wouldn't have been born yet. Keith was a singer, and he was going to perform at Bath's House of Performing Arts. He was taking all of his equipment backstage to get ready for a sound check when a police officer ran into the room. The officer said that one of the actors from that night's show was a runaway criminal. There were 4 actors playing Santa Claus, but one of them was a fake. Take a look at their bags. Can you figure out who the criminal is? It's the owner of the 3rd bag. Santa never shaves off his beard, and that guy is carrying shaving cream. He must be the runaway. Becky just bought new augmented reality goggles. She decided to play one of the games available, and this picture popped up right in front of her. These 3 people sure are in some bizarre situations, but which one doesn't make any sense? The man on the left is walking on lava. Sure, someone can do that, although it won't last for too long without the right kind of shoes. The man on the right is walking on desert sand, which is fully normal. But the woman in the middle looks like she is walking on burning water. That definitely doesn't make any sense. Felicity was 10 weeks pregnant when she decided to try a new doctor in town. The doctor did an ultrasound of her belly and gladly said, "Ah, it's a boy." Felicity looked confused and said, "No, I'm pretty sure I'm having twins." The doctor was the one that looked confused after Felicity's answer. "Take a look at both women. Can you tell who's right?" Felicity is right. I mean, take a look at this doctor. She isn't even a real doctor in the first place. She's not wearing proper medical attire, and she doesn't look like she knows what she is doing. Alex watched one too many Indiana Jones movies and decided to go to Egypt to explore ancient monuments. He spent days and days walking underground to try to find something valuable. One morning, when exploring a crypt, he ran into a huge wall full of symbols. Among the symbols, there was an encrypted message. It went like this: sun plus sun equals sign, moon plus moon equals sign, wave plus wave equals sign. Can you help Alex figure out the encoded message? This is not an easy one, but here's how it works. Sun has 3 letters, moon has 4 letters, and waves has 5 letters. So the encrypted message is the number sequence. 6, 8, 10. Way to go, you. Take a good look at this image. Can you tell who is smarter? Let's see. There's a part of the house on fire, so ice would be a bad way to try to extinguish it. You would have to wait for the ice to melt into water. But during that time, the fire just grows. Liquid water is the best medium for rapid extinguishment, so the person on the right looks like they know what they are doing. Aura had been searching for the entrance to Bythia, a hidden city inside a mountain, for ages. She searched the 7 seas and the 7 lands until she finally found a hidden door, guarded by 3 ancient creatures. She asked them if this was the entrance to Bythia, but they wouldn't say a word. Finally, the wise owl said she had to give a correct answer to a riddle from each creature, and only then they would tell her about Bythia. The wise owl said, "I have branches, yet I'm not a tree. I have a bank, yet I hold no money. What am I? Can you help Aura out?" The correct answer is a river. A river has branches that flow into different streams, and the sides of the river are called riverbanks. The fox was up next, and his riddle said, "I have a bed, yet I don't sleep. I have a mouth, yet don't eat. What am I?" Aura took a while to figure this one out, but she got it right. Can you guess what she said? It's an oven, duh. Pretty obvious now that you think of it. Up next was the deer. He said, "I have a face, yet no eyes to see. I have a tail, yet no ability to wag. What am I?" Do you know how to answer this one? It's a clock. A clock has a face with numbers but no eyes. And it has a tail that we call a pendulum, but it doesn't wag like an animal's tail. The wise owl opened the door and showed Aura that there were 3 pathways leading to Bythia. She should choose the correct one, otherwise she would get stuck in this in-between place forever and would never be able to get out. Take a look at the pathways. Which one should Aura choose to complete her journey? The first pathway looks like it has some poisonous flowers. The air looks like it's filled with their poisoned pollen, so that wouldn't be a nice one to go. The second pathway has dozens of angry-looking stags that could harm Aura, and the last one has a big lake that leads into a trail. She should go with the last one. On a rainy Saturday night, John and Katie decided to stay in, order pizza, and watch the Riddle channel on their TV. On the screen, they saw a man hanging for his life on the branch of a tree. He was surrounded by angry people. Down below, there were a group of guys with huge bats waiting for him to let go of the branch, and above him was an angry guy on a helicopter ready to grab him. Is there any way the guy can escape this trap? He should throw the bat that's in his pocket to the floor, aiming at the group below him. Hopefully, it would hit the guys below on the head, so he could let go of the branch and run as fast as he could into that nearby tunnel. This way, he'd escape the helicopter dude as well.
Carl and his wife Olivia had dinner. They ate the same dishes: French fries, some fish, and vegetable salad. Half an hour later, Carl felt unwell and called the ambulance. But when specialists arrived, he was already unconscious. The man was immediately taken to a hospital. Luckily, doctors had enough time to save him. When they figured out what was wrong with Carl, everyone was shocked. The man had been poisoned. But how could it happen? He and his wife ate the same dishes, but Olivia was perfectly fine. Even more surprising, the next day, the police arrested the woman for trying to poison her husband. How come? Olivia made all the dishes not salty enough and put poison in the salt shaker. Peter graduated from the police academy and began to work as a trainee detective. 1 week after the guy started his new job, he already had the first tricky case on his hands. One of his colleagues was investigating a series of crimes connected with smuggling. She was close to solving the case, but several days ago, the woman disappeared. Peter visited the last location where his colleague was spotted and found a note: 710-57735 34 5508 51 7718. Peter has 3 suspects: Bill, a manager in an oil company; Todd, a jeweler; and John, a car dealer. Who's the criminal? Peter has managed to prove he deserves his detective badge. The guy turned the message upside down and tried to read it that way. Surprisingly, the letters made rather legible words. Bill is boss. He sells oil. Something went wrong in a super-secret laboratory. There was a leak of a newly developed experimental chemical, and it made several plants and animals mutate in the blink of an eye. Scientists ended up locked in one room with the vicious monsters. One of the researchers managed to figure out how they could get out of this dire situation, but the substance they needed was in another part of the laboratory. The scientists could get there through one of 3 corridors. The first was guarded by fire-breathing crocodiles. Hey, it was an experimental laboratory after all. The second corridor was filled with meat-eating sunflowers with extra sharp teeth. And the third passage was swarming with venomous bees. Which one should the scientists choose? They should opt for the corridor with the sunflowers. Those are plants, and however scary they are, they can't move. Terry and Alice fell in love and started going out, but the woman's best friend Sarah was jealous of their relationship. Alice didn't want to lose her friendship and tried to keep the dates with her boyfriend in secret. That's why she left him coded messages with the places where they were going to meet. That day, Terry found a new note. It looked like this. At first, he was puzzled, but soon enough, he realized where he was going to see Alice. Can you figure it out? Alice told Terry to meet her at the street corner. Patrick called the police. The man seemed to be worried sick. "My wife Victoria took our dog for a walk in the afternoon. Several hours ago, our pooch returned, alone. I don't know where Vicky is." The police questioned the suspects. Mrs. Summers said she'd been watching TV all day long. "I was busy delivering the mail," said the postman. "I didn't have time to linger in this area, and I didn't see anything." And Mr. Thomas told the police he'd been working in his home office. The detective knew at once one of these people was lying. Who was it? It was the postman. His sleeve is a bit torn, and there's a dog bite on his arm. Plus, some black fur is stuck to his pants. Victoria's dog probably tried to protect the woman. 3 expensive watches have been stolen from Mr. Brown's store this year. The police can't help the poor man. He decides to hire a private detective. When Laura arrives, she immediately asks for the CCTV footage from January to December. After watching it, she tells the store owner who the thief is. What has she noticed in the video? The same guy came to the store several times, in April, August, and November. And every time, he has a cast on his arm. But no broken bone would need 8 months to heal. Joe had a friend, Randy, who never answered questions directly. Once, Joe sent Randy a message, inviting him to join their common friends in a cafe. Randy's answer was kinda weird. "Sorry, no money. Job in job." Luckily, Joe knew his friend well enough to understand what he meant. But can you figure it out? Randy meant he had no money because he was in between jobs. The next time Joe texted Randy was when he needed some advice. Despite all his quirks, his friend was very good at finding solutions to difficult situations. So Joe wrote, "My girlfriend took my professional camera without asking permission, and then she accidentally smashed it. What should I do?" The answer was bizarre, not that it was unexpected. Give, get, give, get, give, get, give, get. At first, Joe didn't think he wanted to follow this advice, but a bit later, he decided it was the best course of action. What was the advice? Forgive and forget. Dylan was an extremely popular guy in his office. Tall, handsome, funny, and friendly. But there was one thing that made certain people dislike him. The man had a new girlfriend every month. That Friday, Dylan came to work happier than he'd ever felt. He finally bought the car of his dreams. At lunchtime, he went to the parking lot to check in on his new toy. Oh no! His car was a mess, scratched and covered in paint. Dylan went pale and called security. He had 3 suspects, all of them his exes. Andrea said she didn't even know Dylan had got a new car. Catherine answered she'd been preparing a report for their boss and hadn't left her desk. And Mila told the guy she'd forgiven him long ago. Who ruined Dylan's car? It was Catherine. She had some smeared paint on her skirt, and the color is the same as the paint on the man's car. 2 maids work in a small hotel in the mountains. One day, the hotel owner finds out one of them regularly steals stuff from guests, but he doesn't know which one it is. Look at these maids cleaning the rooms. Can you help the owner understand who's guilty? The maid on the right hasn't noticed the ring under the sofa. She might not be a great cleaner, but also not a thief. As for the maid on the left, she's spotted the ring and put it in her bucket. It means she's going to take it for herself after she finishes cleaning. She's the one who steals things. One afternoon, all the money was stolen from the register of a small cafe on the beach. The police have 5 suspects. All of them claim they haven't been to the cafe in the past hour. Look at them closely and try to figure out who's the thief. It's the guy with a cocktail in his hand. He definitely bought it in the cafe. But then, why did he lie about not visiting the place? Police officer Cheryl Adams was visiting her colleagues in another town. She was walking along the river, taking pictures to send to her husband, when a man crashed into her. They both fell to the ground. After helping Cheryl to her feet, the man started to apologize. It turned out someone had stolen his wallet, and he was trying to catch the thief. "I was painting my boat, and my wallet was lying next to me. But then I got distracted, just for a moment. But when I turned back, the wallet wasn't there anymore." Cheryl understood the thief couldn't have gone far. She pulled the man to the nearby pier. There were 4 people there. After looking at them closely, the police officer knew who the thief was. Now it's your turn to figure it out. It's the man who's talking on the phone. There's some green paint on his feet. Julia came to have lunch in her favorite restaurant. She occupied a table near the window and put her bag in the seat next to her. Once the woman gave her order to the waiter, she went to the bathroom to wash her hands. But when she returned to the table, her bag was open and her wallet was missing. The waiter told her he had noticed only one man passing by her table. He was short, with a tattoo on his neck. He seemed to go out to the terrace. Julia rushed there and saw 3 people sitting at their tables. She looked at them closely and soon understood who'd taken her wallet. Who was the thief? It's the young woman on the right. You can see a wig and some men's clothing in her bag. Plus, she's wearing a turtleneck to cover her tattoo.
Neil was one of the best watchmakers in town. He got a call from the police station one day, asking him for help to solve a crime. 2 burglars were caught robbing shops in town. Amongst the things they stole, there were 2 watches. One of the burglars claimed that the watch they stole was a fake, so the police contacted Neil to see if that was really true. Take a look at both watches. Can you help Neil figure out which one is fake and which one is real? The watch on the left is a fake. If you look closely, you'll see that the miniature arm is too long, so it can't pass around the entire clock when it moves. Maya was an undercover police officer. On a Saturday night, she was off duty and decided to go to the movies. When she arrived, she saw 2 women who looked pretty suspicious. She remembered that the police were tracking down a girl who had escaped from prison the week before. Take a look at both women. Can you tell if one has escaped prison recently? It's the lady on the left. Her prison uniform is peeking through her coat. I mean, she should have at least changed clothes by now, right? Beth arrived at school and one of her best friends showed her a picture. She told Beth that if she got the answer correctly, she would get a week's supply of free chocolate. The friend said that one of the people in the picture wasn't human. Can you help Beth figure out the answer? It's the boy in the middle. He doesn't have a shadow, which means he's definitely not human. Ruby was traveling around India when she decided to stop for some tea. As soon as she walked inside the tea shop, the owner placed 2 teapots in front of her. He told her she would get a free cup of tea if she could figure out his riddle. He told her that the first teapot contained enough tea for 40 cups and asked to figure out, just by looking at the pot, how many cups of tea it could carry inside. Take a look at the image. Can you help Ruby figure out the answer? This is a tricky one. Probably the second teapot can only carry around 20 cups of tea. If you look closely, you'll see that the outlets of the first teapot is located in the middle of the pot. But the outlet of the second pot is located right at the bottom, so even if the pot is taller, it can't hold more water than the first one. After water hits the level of the outlet, it'll just start overflowing. Mary was walking in an enchanted forest when she met Randy, a magical unicorn. Mary asked the unicorn for some information, but he refused to talk to her unless she solved one of his riddles. He was a trickster and liked confusing people with his riddles. He told Mary that in a nearby field there were tigers and sheep. Usually one tiger could catch 3 sheep in 3 minutes. So he asked her how long it would take for 100 tigers to catch 100 sheep. Can you help Mary figure out the answer? It would still take 3 minutes, because each tiger is still catching 1 sheep in 3 minutes. It doesn't matter if it's 3 tigers or 100. The unicorn was surprised by Mary's abilities and gave her another riddle to solve. He asked her to name the 5 days of the week without saying Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, etc. She also couldn't say whether it was the first day of the week or the last. What do you think Mary answered here? She said, the day before yesterday, yesterday, today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. Clever girl, huh? Brianna was traveling on business, and her company put her in one of the best hotels in town. She arrived from work late at night, exhausted. She was getting ready to go to bed when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside. The man said he was sorry for bothering her, but the hotel database had crashed and he needed to recheck some of her information. Brianna said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone in the hotel trying to rob her. Take a look at the image. How did she know the man was a robber? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He is surely not the real hotel manager. Luca decided to throw a party for his best friends. He invited over 20 people to the party, but he only bought 9 candies. He told his friends he would leave the candies inside a pretty little box, and they could each get 1 candy. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took the candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. Noah reported to the police that someone had stolen his red motorbike the previous night, right out of his garage. The police started to search for it and tracked 3 main suspects. Take a look at them. Which one stole Noah's motorbike? It's this guy on the right. Look closely. His motorbike is painted, but the paint is dripping and one can spot the old red color. He must have stolen it and painted it in a different color so as not to attract any attention. But you caught him. It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each one of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Smart, huh? Bobby was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the message, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the candy from the first envelope. 2. Take the candy from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't eat this candy. 2. Take the candy from the first envelope. Which capsule should Bobby take? He should trust the candy from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. The manager of a gift shop got a call from the police station. The police told him there was a burglar on the loose. He dressed up as the Joker and was robbing local shops. But since it was Halloween, a lot of people were walking dressed up as the Joker. At that moment, 4 Jokers entered the shop. The manager got suspicious, so he made the people stand in a line while he examined which one of them was the criminal. Take a look at the image. Can you guess which Joker is the real thief? The thief is the second Joker on the left. Take a look at his shoes. They're much bigger than the other shoes. He must be hiding something inside of it.